Oh, hello. If for anyone watching this is a Gauntlet Hangouts game. For those who don't know, Gauntlet is a fine community in the internet where we play a lot of really cool games with really cool people. Check them out. It's gauntlet-rpg.com. It's the nexus of all things Gauntlet. Like they have a blog all about cool RPG topics, I guess. There's a podcast network where there's a lot of stuff there, but the main thing is Gauntlet Hangouts, where this game is set up. So this game is The Quiet Year. It is a map-making community game written by Avery Alder, published by through her imprint, Buried Without Ceremony. It is, as it says, we are gonna be like playing a community through the span of 1 year and seeing how they rise and fall and whatnot. But first off, let's find out who we're playing with. Like y'all just when I point out, just introduce like a name, pronouns, and then shout out the cool thing on the internet, like whether it's something you're involved with or just something you find's cool. Give them a shout out. So let's start with Ludovico, right?
Yes, you can call me Ludo. Uh, he is, and I'm a scientist and writer. I have a current project which is called Heroes of the Republic, which is an attempt to reclaim the roots of democracy from the nefarious right, and it's about Iron Age social activists and those efforts.
That sounds all really fab. Next, Sabine.
Yeah, I'm Sabine. You can use any pronoun you like. I've been with the Gauntlet for about a year, and I'm not writing a role-playing game, but I am currently working on a Changeling the Dreaming hack for PBTA. So there's that.
Fantastic. And I'm Leandro. I'm not as cool as any of these folks. In fact, I'm wearing a hoodie in what I charitably call day wear, home day wear. And yeah, I'm just running this game for fun. So yeah, The Quiet Year. It's kind of like, well, just to let's just jump into it. But actually, before we start, I do kind of like one thing. I want to get one thing done. It's weird. I'm trying to figure out. All right, well, we need to have this talk a bit about kind of like what to expect from this game because as it stands, it's a game about a community from a post-apocalypse. But I've played this game. I've seen this play this game in different kind of genres. Yeah, this hoodie's really. I love this hoodie, but that's a different story altogether. But yeah, so as I was just gonna ask, because I've seen this game played in like in a more fantastical setting. Like I played this in like in a proper a war has ended and we're just a community trying to band together and whatnot. But I do want to know kind of like what do y'all expect? Do you want to just go for the classic rebuilding after a crisis post-apocalypse sort of setting, or do you want to go for something weirder? Because the thing is we can introduce weirder elements as the year goes along depending on the prompt, but I want to know what y'all think.
Well, I don't really know what to expect. I was just going, oh, like The Quiet Year. I've heard so much about this game, and now I'm in it. Hey, and I have no idea what it's about really. So I'm cool with everything.
I mean, if one wants to try it for the first time, maybe going classical is the best. Then if we feel, well, we can handle weirder, we just throw it.
Yeah, that sounds good. Another thing, safety tools. Because again, this game can run long and things can pop up, and people kind of have like a lot of autonomy at their turns to do what they want. Of course, we should have safe tools there to make sure that everyone's playing in a comfortable environment. It's primarily we'll have the X card. So basically, if anything comes up that people find uncomfortable or that they don't want in this game, you can just say X in the group chat or make an X symbol on the on the video and we will redact what's happening on screen. We'll roll it back. People don't get to ask why. It's just if they wanted X, it will be X. And also, we need to do a round of lines and veils as well. I'm going to create a, we're using Roll20 here, so I'm just going to create a character that says lines and veils so we can note them down here. Basically, lines are things you don't want, that's off the table, shouldn't be on screen, and veils are, well, veils are things that we can just kind of just obliquely refer to and have to zoom in. Do any of you have any like lines or veils?
Well, I'm not too crazy about sexual violence.
Yeah, I'm absolutely not willing to go there. Not even just hard line. Yeah.
We're all in agreement there. I'll also add child abuse to the lines. Yeah, not all up for that. Anyway, I think that's enough preamble. Let's get to the game. So I'm gonna read out some spiel from the PDF and can explain how this game works. All right, so the opening story. For a long time, we were at war with the Jackals. Now, finally, we've driven them off, and we're left with this, a year of relative peace. One quiet year with which to build our community up and learn again how to work together. Come winter, the frost shepherds will arrive. We may not survive the encounter. This is when the game will end. But we don't know about that yet. What we know is that right now, in this moment, there's an opportunity to build something. So let me take you to what is going to be our map. Actually, I'll give you two choices. There's two different map pages. One is in the color of this front page here, and one of them is just a regular white map. Any preferences? No? Okay, I'll take you to the white map then. It seems classically map-tacular. That's not a word. Apologies. And okay, so this is our map. Before playing, we're going to establish some of the landscape as we play. We'll update the map to reflect new discoveries, conflicts, and opportunities. Parts of it will be literal cartography. Other parts will be symbolic. We'll try to avoid writing words. Common symbols are fine, like a peace symbol. Throughout the game, we'll all be responsible for drawing on this map. It's fine to draw poorly or crudely. Well, it doesn't matter. We're on Roll20, so we're all going to draw crudely, but everyone's going to draw. And yeah, so we are going to have project clocks. Here, they're called project die, but, well, we don't need to use die, so I'm just going to make a box in the corner. So project clocks, oh, come on, Roll20. There's going to be a box here in this corner. That's going to detail all our projects. So when our community starts a project, we'll put it on here in the box to note how many weeks it'll take to finish. Each week, they'll tick down by one. When the clock reaches 0, the project is complete, and whoever set up the project, they'll get to narrate how it works, whether it works well, works not. We have contempt tokens. They represent any tension or frustration that might arise in the community. This contempt tokens, honestly, are always the trickiest thing to explain with the quiet year. I'll explain when we get to them anyway. Let's get through this preamble first. And then we have our summary cards. And let me just reveal them to you. Hopefully that showed up. There we go. That's the spring deck. So that's our summary cards. They'll remind us what to do each week of the quiet year in what order. And basically, yeah, so we have spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And we're all going to go through all those cards. But in the winter deck, there is the King of Winter, and that could be drawn at any time in the game. And when that card is drawn, doesn't matter if you have any projects, doesn't matter if any stories are happening, the game is over. The Frost Shepherds will return, and each of us will get to narrate a little epilogue of our community as they do. So we have two roles to play in this game. The first is we represent the community at a bird's eye level, and we need to care about its faith. But the second role is to kind of be like almost dispassionate gods delivering dilemmas and conflicts into the community. And the quiet year asks us to move in and out of these two roles. We're not specific characters. We're not going to act out like scenes. We represent thoughts, currents of thoughts within the community. So when we speak or take action, we might be speaking for a specific person or a lot of people. If we allow ourselves to care about the fate of these people, the quiet year it becomes a much richer experience, and we'll learn to care about our community, and we'll have plenty of opportunities to introduce stuff with the actions, which we'll get to first. But first, let's establish some facts about this community and what surroundings are like. So let's talk about general terrain and habitat. Like, where actually are we? Are we in a foresty environment? Are we in a desert, rocky terrain? Are we next to a beach? Do y'all have any ideas?
I don't know, but I have in my head stuck the image of some mountains with forests on them, like the Alps or something like that.
What about you, Ludovico?
I think going on the theme of the forest that and the Alps. So we have this forest with clearings where it's still amenable during most of the year, but then we have entire parts of the territory that as it becomes to get colder in fall, they are completely blocked.
So when we start the game, we kind of have like free reign of the forest, but as the months creep in, ooh, I like that. Okay, so I'm very much down for forest mountainy setting. Hold on, that box is annoying me. It's way too big. Now that I think about it. Okay, so all right, so now we've agreed. At this point, each of us is going to introduce a detail about the local terrain. So we introduce our detail. We're going to sketch our contribution to the map. There could be rough, and these sketches should be rough and simple. We should have lots of blank space, not blank space, for so we can add stuff to the map as we go along. The community itself should be like it says here, like it should be like a third of the map, and so that unless otherwise stated, we assume that's like 60 to 80 members or something like that. So example, so yeah, foresty mountain setting. One player might add, all right, this forest is full of young spindly trees, and another player might add, okay, we're in an old mining camp. And another player might add, okay, there's this big rock. It's just a rock. Don't know why it's there, but the rock's there. But yeah. So if you have an idea for like a detail you want to add, actually let's determine where our community is. Let's say our community is here. Ping. Somewhere around there. But yeah, if you have any details, add how are y'all used to Roll20? Yeah, that's I think everyone who plays Roll20, even those who have experience with it, will say that with Roll20. Yeah, I think we're all just gonna do freehand and yeah, or a bunch of other shapes. But yeah, if you have a detail you want to add them away. Thinking of what to add.
So we are going with the idea that before this year we had the war or not?
I think. Okay, I think we're gonna go with post-apocalyptic. I'd say it might be a few. I kind of like the idea of it like a proper Fallout, a couple decades, or not more than a few decades since the Great Big War again in society, and we just had a recent conflict with the Jackals, and we're like, okay, all right, we have to rebuild now. We have to build up our stock and whatnot.
So do we have to say what these jackals actually were before we start, or do we discover that during the game?
Oh yeah, we discovered that. Like we don't.
Okay.
The Jackals don't even have to be a thing in the game. It's just a setup
Okay.
in the story.
Okay, so I think a detail that I want to add is on the tree line of the forest, there is a bit of scorched land that is filled with the debris of the Jackal siege operation, their camp, and it's considered a danger zone. So we have a bunch of dead trees at the lower end of the forest, full of whatever the Jackals brought to bring war to us.
All right, fab. Add that in the map. I kind of want to add a river, and I think this river is kind of like the boundaries of our community. So it's kind of like almost kind of makeshift moat. Well, not makeshift, obviously. Yeah, it's more like the moat came before the castle. But yeah, I think it's kind of like whenever we came to this place long time ago. We might or might not remember. We've always stayed within this river, or maybe we got. Well, we'll find out and play. Anyway, there's a river, and I think it's gonna be here. Oh, come on, roll 20. Ooh, that's a nice shade of blue. Lighter shade of blue. And I think the river goes around here. It's a very blunt border, I guess, so to speak. That means we have quite some room for a community to bolster. And if we think we need more space in the map, I will just add more space to the map. Like, that should be fine. Yeah, hold on. Let me add some more lines to that river. Sabine, do you have a detail you want to add?
Yeah, I think I want to have a cave because we're in the mountains and we have a cave, and maybe a river comes out of that cave, but you can enter it. So I will just draw the river over your cave. I'm not very good at drawing, unlike Ludovico, who's pretty brilliant. So I'll just draw some lines, maybe. Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
I will say Ludovico is drawing a fantastic scorched landscape over there. If only you could see it, viewers. If only.
I need black. Oh, give me black. Okay. For some reason, this is a green cave because I can't have a black cave. I can't have a black cave. It's a black cave. No, this is moss. It's growing on the rock side.
Oh yeah, so it's like the mouth of this cave is ringed with moss and algae. I wonder why.
Yes, of course it is. So this is there. It goes up there, and there are trees and stuff. But this cave is dark. And there are noises coming from it, but that's maybe the river, or maybe not. Who knows?
Hold on, I need to rename the character handout that's meant to be Lines and Veils. Her name is Ass Loose Straw at the moment. That doesn't help us. There we go. I'll add another character sheet, actually. Their name is Resources. So, and next, we're going to declare an important resource for the community, something which we might have either in abundance or scarcity. So examples like clean drinking water, or a source of energy, shelter, or food. You know, choosing a resource makes it important if one's ready. So if you pick gasoline or something, it means your community wants that. So anyone have an idea for resources? Each person gets to pick one.
Well, I guess we have a lot of wood because we're in the forest. So that could be a pretty good resource, especially if it gets cold.
Yeah.
I will say that we also have a lot of game in the woods.
And I'd say we have, because we have fought off these jackals, we do have weaponry. And that is a research we have had. Because now we're going to choose one of these resources to be in abundance. And whoever called it will get to draw an abundance of that resource on the map. And the other resources get listed as scarcities. And then we're going to kind of draw symbolically their absence or scarcity in the map somehow. So symbols are fine. Words should be avoided. You can even draw like a sad face. That's okay. But which one of these would be in abundance of these three? Guess wood. Seems like it.
Would make sense.
Yeah. Okay, so Sabine, you get to draw quite a bit. All right, draw. I guess wood. What's an example of like of an abundance of wood? Like
So
I'm still marveling over this landscape you drew there, Ludo. It's amazing. There's a truck there in the middle, right?
Yes.
That's fantastic. Okay, so I guess we need to draw the scarcity of game and weaponry. I'm just going to draw symbolically a broken sword next to the landscape and say we expended our resources fighting off or reap weaponry fighting the jackals. Okay. Does that mean we have swords? Yes, we have swords now. Okay. Oh, no. Okay.
this thing is fighting me.
Yeah, welcome to Roll20. Don't worry, like you can just tell us the intent of.
So I draw a dead fish to represent the years of people living here using this water, resulted in the water becoming increasingly polluted downstream. That has have a negative effect on the already stressed fish population.
Oh no, not the fishies. Okay.
Can you please delete this red thing that I drew? I'm just not good with Roll20 today.
No, that's fine. What is that?
I wanted to draw some. Well, I don't know. Go away.
All right, so this broken sword is going to look like a torch. But there we go. Okay. All right, so those are our resources anyway. So basically, those in fiction are what the community kind of wants or needs, depending on on how the year goes. Like really in terms of the game, it's basically the resources, especially at the start, they kind of used to focus on what we should start with or what our concerns should start with. Ooh, that's a cool wood pile. Okay.
That took a while.
Yeah. Roll20 here. The best that we got, but doesn't make it the best. Okay, so the basic unit of play. Now we'll get into the meat and potatoes of it, so to speak. So each turn is a week in the quiet year. Each turn is taken by one player, and play will proceed clockwise. I'll just say in alphabetical order. Let's just go with that. And so as it says here in the Roll20s, I'll go first, and then Ludo, and then Sabine. Is that okay? So yeah, each turn is a week in the quiet year. Weeks should take an average of 2 to 3 minutes to complete. That's optimistic. So there are three parts to a turn. The first is you're going to draw a card, and you will follow the prompt on the card. There's usually two choices, depending on the card. So we either do one or the other. The second part is that project clocks will go down a week. And then if a project is resolved, whoever set up that project will get to resolve that. And the third part are the three actions. You get to one of three. You can either start a project, you can discover something new, or hold a discussion. And when we get to those, actually, no, we are there. I'll explain those. Projects are basically community, either collectively or just a part, or even just one person will set up a project, and then the player who set up the project will determine how many weeks that project will take place. One of them could be like, let's hunt, let's build up weaponry, or let's build a well, something similar to that. Even some more ludicrous, like, okay, so some guy just got murdered, let's set up a trial, and it's going to take this many weeks to do that, or let's send an expedition, or this one guy wants to translate this like ancient book of poetry, or oh my god, we discovered a DVD box set of Woody Harrelson DVDs. I didn't even know that was a thing that existed. And so those are projects anyway, and they're going to set up how many weeks they take, and we're going to cut through them as the turns go on. Discover something new is very simple. It's just, it is as it says in the tin. Introduce a new situation. Might be a problem, opportunity, or a bit of both. Like, there's a dried up well we just found, or a self-declared prophet arrives, or ooh, spooky noises from the forest. Those are perfectly fine things to discover something new. It's See, that's the thing with the quiet year. You have so much latitude to just add stuff in it. But of course, we're all doing this collectively. So maybe I introduce like a girl gang of hockey players, and then the next player sets up these evil priests to try and break up that hockey league, and it culminates in a big hockey tournament that actually happened. It was amazing. Yeah, so that's discover something new. And hold the discussion is, you can open up with a question or declaration, but basically everyone's going to weigh in once, sharing a single argument comprising one or two sentences, depending on the question or declaration to start. So basically, we're kind of simulating ideas or thoughts that are percolating in the community. Hold the discussion is a good way to figure out where you might want to go, because you're going to have to share an opinion depending on the situation or question that's asked. And they're good if you can't think of like a project or a thing to just discover. And yeah, I think I'll just jump right into it, if that's okay. And then if you have any questions, fire away. Oh yes, one more thing. Contempt. Contempt is always tricky to explain, because mechanically they don't do anything. You just collect them. But basically, because in each player's turn, you're not really meant to confer with each other. It's like, okay, my turn, I'm gonna do this. In your turn, you're gonna do this. The only way to say that you don't like what's happening, or if you're like you protest against it, is to say you have contempt. So if there is a project or a decision made that you, or maybe you feel someone in the community won't like, you just say you're taking contempt. And that's a way to say that there's tension in the community. And usually people do that by having tokens that they pick up. But here, because honestly, it doesn't matter how many tokens you pick up, you just have contempt. You can just say in the chat, I'm taking contempt. And that's just a way to basically say that maybe I didn't like it that those priests were trying to mess with my socialist girls hockey league. Maybe I just didn't like it that they were trying to mess. And then I took a lot of contempt. So that's basically how contempt works. It's a way to express disapproval. Because again, during those turns, we're not meant to have like confer other than going ooh or ah. Actually, I'll actually take a leaf of the story brewers. We use this thing called an O card, which is basically, if there's a decision or a thing you like that happens on screen, just shout it out in the chat there. And that usually, that helps things along. Okay, so I think we'll just jump right into it. I've set the who goes what, how the turn order goes, but if anyone wants to jump in first, I don't mind. But okay, all right. I'll go ahead then. See how it goes. Okay. Draw. Okay. Let's see. Roll 20. All right. So the King of Spring. A young boy starts digging in the ground and discovers something unexpected. What is it? Or an old man confesses to past crimes and atrocities. What has he done? I'm gonna go with the former, because it's this young boy. Okay, let's give him a name. Also, I'm gonna move this to my hand. Let's hope that worked. Did it work? Oh no, it's still there. There we go. Okay. So I say this young boy is digging around here. Oh no! Ah, fuck! I had the wrong tool up. That was not meant to happen. Roll 20. And yeah, somewhere around here. Oh wait, nope, that's not it. Here. Okay, finally. The right pointer tool. God's sake. Let's see. His name is, let's call him Knives. His name is Knives. And he's kind of digging along somewhere around here because, you know, what's a boy to do when you got not much to do? You dig around. We've all done that when we were young, probably. I know I have. That, yeah. So, and this is a weird thing. This is where we get into the weird bullshit now, because when he starts digging up, the first thing he sees is like, it's like a television screen. So, but when he starts digging up around, he sees there's like another television screen underneath, and there's like another television screen next to it, and then more television screens. Suddenly, there's just this pit full of televisions, and like, and as far as he can tell, there's more underneath. They might be connected to something. He's just like, what the fuck? What the heck? There's television screens over here. Okay, sure. And yeah, I'm gonna draw, yeah, that. So yeah, a bunch of television screens over there. I'm just gonna, yeah, there. That's a box, and that's another box, and another box. And then I'm draw here. Okay, so, and because there's no projects at the moment, we skip that turn, and instead, you know what? I'm gonna start a project. There's not been much game lately. What the hey? So I think a group of people in the community are gonna send an expedition deep into the forest, and they're gonna try to find further from where the usual hunting ground is to see where the game has gone. I'm gonna say that's gonna take 3 weeks to take, and I'm gonna draw like a foresty area here near where the TVs are. Hold on, add some TV aerials there. There we go. Oh shit. And yeah, so some trees. Well, I'll draw the trees. Ludo, your turn. Draw a card. I'll say right now we're gonna take a break at the top of every hour because we're gonna be here for 4 hours. So, Ludovico, your turn.
Queen of Spring. What's the most beautiful thing in this area? Or what's the most ideal thing in this area? So I'm gonna say that there is right a few miles below the cave that has the spring of the river. You have this pond, and it is fed somehow by geothermal entries, and it never freezes over, even during the winter. So you always have this perma-mist, quiet white and gray stones, and it's probably the most serene place in the entire world. Well, our world. So now I do one action, right?
Yes. First, draw the is the pond there?
No, I will start drawing.
Okay.
it.
All right. So after this, the project clock for all project clocks go down. So hunting expedition goes down from 3 to 2, and then yeah, you do an action. So start a project, discover something new, or hold a discussion.
Okay, I will say that we start a project to make a census of the resources and people in the community. I'll say This does not take long. This will be 2 weeks. And before people start making proper decisions and how to avoid the casualties that happen with the jackals, all these census and accounting need to be done, and that will be for 2 weeks. So I think I'm done.
Fab. I'll add that to the box of projects. Sabine, draw a card.
So I've drawn a card. What have I drawn? I can't see it. I can. I'll move it here.
Oh,
Cool.
oh, we all see it now.
Okay. What group has the highest status in the community? What must people do to gain inclusion in this group? Or are there distinct family units in the community? If so, what family structures are common? Well, I think I would like to establish the highest status in the community. So I guess the highest status is actually some kind of military thing. Maybe it's a holdover, or not, maybe it's a holdover from the old days when we were at war. There is a general who is the one who has the highest status in the community, and then there are several commanders and some lieutenants, and the lowest is the ensigns. Everybody is in the military structure, but to rise in the military structure, you have to do something, well, something special, something for the community. And yeah, that's my take on the whole thing. And now I have to get rid of this card. And I have. Great. How do I get... Now I've done some dots, which I didn't mean to. Can you please...
Oh, hold on. Yeah, here we go. Let's just delete
Cool.
that. Oop, there we go.
Cool. Okay.
Okay, so we're going to reduce project clocks first, and then...
Okay.
All right, so we have 1 more week until... know what happens in the hunting expedition, and actually the census as well. So yeah, your action, Sabine.
Yes, I think I want to discover something new because we haven't done that yet. And I think we will discover something in these jackal ruins. And what we will discover is that there are footprints all around of it, and they're not ours. There is somebody else here who is, I don't know, scrounging around in the scorched area. I don't think we know what to do with that yet, but, well, there are some other people around here. We don't know what they are. Yeah.
Oh, I hope they're friendly.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know if we're friendly, but yeah, we probably are.
Draw like at least 1 footprint, so we know we can. We don't keep watch for them.
I should first think of what I can draw and then start talking, right?
Okay, sorry. Okay, so I drew the 9 of spring. Oh, it's this card. A charismatic young girl convinces May to help her with an elaborate scheme. What is it? Who joins her endeavors? Start a project to reflect? Or a charismatic young girl tries to tempt many to sinful or dangerous activity. Why does she do this? How does the community respond? Yeah, so sometimes these cards just let you have a free project depending on the prompt. Some of these cards would outright let you steal a project because things might happen. Floods happen apparently. Okay, so this charismatic young girl. I should have pulled up my list of names. Oh, there we go. Let's see. This charismatic young girl. Why is she so charismatic? Okay. I think her name... Okay, her name's not important right now. The point is to resolve this first. Oh, Oh dear, I put it up on the map again. Thanks, Roll20. Thanks for helping us in this endeavor. Thank you. Okay. Let's look at our resources. We are okay. So I think this elaborate scheme seems simple enough, and I think this girl, her name is Iris, and she is, yeah, also feel free to just make up NPCs, like whoever's in charge of the military faction or who wants to do what, who's taking part in the census. Like, let's add some members in this community. Yeah, so this girl, Iris, she's thinking we have a lot of wood, but we don't have weaponry. So why don't we start a project by like salvaging from the Jackals ruins? Doesn't matter if there are any weirdo footprints out there. We took care of the Jackals. We'll be fine. So we're gonna start a what's it called? Weapons weapons scheme to basically start, creating, if not guns, and arrows or spears, or there's surely enough bits and bobs of metal there. And yeah, so I think I'm gonna add that, and also I'm gonna delete this card. Jesus Christ. So yes, this girl Iris is starting a weapons creation scheme using our wood to balance out the scarcity of weaponry. Yeah. So I'll add that and I'll start drawing that later. While I start drawing this, because the oh, for the love of God, the census project has gone down. Tell us, Ludo, how did that census go?
Well, the census, because of the military structure of the community, it happens without problems. It's not like people are awarding stuff or there are secrets going on. Everyone, because of the way they progress on the community, they have this eagerness to show off what they have and what they can do with it. So they compile all the information and they give the task to Theoric, a veteran of the wars with the Jackals, and because he's quite old and he cannot walk like he walked before, so he's not that great of a hunter anymore. So Yorick is now responsible for keeping all the letter and leaflets and whatever and the wood carvings that account for the inventory and the census. And basically, people start calling his house jokingly the Hall of Records.
So yeah, where do we keep? Where is this Hall of Records?
Yeah, I'm gonna draw it. I'm gonna make a empty tree that has been hollowed out and made this unconspicuous but central place.
Fab. All right, I'm just, for simplicity's sake, I'm just gonna draw a piece of metal lashed to that broken sword. Symbolism. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, that's very nice. Thank you, Roll20. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a that's the saddest piece of metal. Oh my god. Anyway, hunting expedition. So that's done. Okay. I think when the group comes back, it's kind of disquieting news. They've gone to the normal hunting grounds where they know that's where the deer are. That's where all the game is. But looks like those clearings have been cleared. They can see signs of animals running away. It looks like they've been driven out by something. They don't know. All they know is just that there are parts of the forest that has been scorched, that have been cleared out manually. So, and so they're like, all right, we don't have any forest game, and someone's been clearing them out. So, just gonna draw some smoke. There we go. And yeah, I still have an action. Oh Jesus. Okay. Yeah, it's still technically my turn. So yeah, turns can take a while, especially if a lot of projects can be fulfilled. Also because roll 20 drawing, it happens. But let's hold a discussion. So you can see how that works. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna start with either a question or a declaration, and you will respond in 1 or 2 or 3 sentences. just just respond with not your first thought, but and I think the question is, are we prepared for another war this soon? And we're gonna take a turn order, and you could be representing a single character or just a thought in the community. So we'll start with Ludo.
So Yoriki comes out from his first gathering of the census, and he states pretty clear: we are not ready for winter, much less for another war. The community is in dire straits, and it needs energy.
Mm-hmm. Sabine?
I think Iris will contradict him. She says, we are still strong. We are the military. We are warriors. We are always ready. These other guys are the ones who should be afraid. Once we've built up our weapons, we can do anything. We are survivors. We are winners.
I think the headhunter. Let's just keep making these NPCs. I love them. The headhunter who delivered this news. Their name is Shoshana. They're like, look, it seems dire. We have no immediate food at the moment, but as Iris said, we can persevere. We'll always persevere. So what if there's no food now? We'll always find food otherwise. That is just one direction. We can go another direction and we will thrive because we're strong together. We'll take on anything. Yes. I think that's what Shoshana says. Let's take one more turn before we take a break. Actually, no. Let's take a break now. Like I said, I'm gonna take a break at the top of every hour. It's a bit awkward, but yes, a minute past the top of the hour. That's okay with you folks. So BRB in 5 minutes. And we're back. Wait, did both of you equip hoodies? Oh my god.
It's cold.
Yeah, 'tis the season. I'm actually doing all my Gauntlet role playing next to a Christmas tree. It's amazing. Hence all this pallor over here. Anyway, okay, so we're still knee deep in spring. Did you already draw a card, Ludo?
Yes, I did.
Okay, fab. I was wondering, like, 2 cards. Wait a minute. But yeah.
So, five hearts of spring. There is the disquieting legend about this place. What is it? Or alarming weather patterns destroy something. How and what? So, after Knife unearthed the televisions, there's a strange legend that sometimes when the moon is not on the sky, the televisions can be seen flickering. And there's the legend that if you go there on a moonless night, you will meet the people inside the television and they'll try to drag you into their world. So I'm gonna go to draw the legend. So we update the clock.
I'll do that. Weapons, 3 more weeks. Your action.
And as my action, I'm going to start a project. I'm going to say that your Ricky and Shoshana they start working on a compromise, and your Ricky basically say, well, we're going to need new resources and you want to check new directions. So to facilitate our expeditions, let's organize a system of topographic banners so that we can quickly announce what we have discovered to our scouts, and so that we can trace back our paths and what we are aiming. So the process is topographic mapping. And I'm going to say this is going to take a long time, so I'll say it's a 4 weeks project.
I forgot to mention the limit of projects that can go up to is a 6-sided die. So 6 weeks is kind of like the longest they can go. Okay, so that's a project there. Sabine, draw a card.
Okay. I've tried, but failed, apparently. No? Yes. Oh, no, I have to say how many cards I draw. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'm just confused. Can I read this? I can't read this.
Oh, there it is.
Cool. What important and basic tools does the community lack? Or where are you storing your food? Why is this a risky place to store things? I'm going with the second one, I guess. I think we store our food in the cave, and that's a bit risky because we don't know if the cave might flood at any time. And our old surveyor, who's usually going with Shoshana, who doesn't say a lot, and whose name is Claudius. He said that the cave might flood and that was not a good idea, but it keeps stuff cool and safe, and it's easy to look after when there are a lot of birds and animals in the mountains. So yeah. And I'm putting points on the dots on the map because I don't know how to handle this. Okay. So, yeah, and I try to draw some boxes into the cave, and while I'm doing that, not green ones. While I'm doing this, I'm also going to start a project because Hannah, who is the general, actually, she thinks that we might need to have some quick access across the river, and we need a bridge. So she wants to build a bridge near Yorick's, near the Hall of Records. And that's the project. It will take quite a while, I think 5 weeks maybe, because building a stable bridge is not that easy. And she wants it to be really a real bridge, not just some kind of plank over the water. Oh, it's raining.
Ooh, that's moody.
I think I heard some thunder before. So if I'm gone, then that's the connection.
Oh no. Well, hopefully that doesn't happen. I want to see how this bridge goes, and who are these freaky footprints? And okay, my turn. The Jack of Spring. You see a good omen. What is it? Or you see a bad omen. What is it? Oh dear. Okay. Okay, so the darndest thing happens just as we're setting this bridge. We've set up both ends in the river. Two things happen. Well, actually, no, two things fall from the sky. And two just, but they're not big. They're just asteroids, and they just kind of fall from the sky, and they smash at exactly where the 2 points of the bridge begin or end. So now there's just two asteroids that just showed up, and people are like, wait, what's happening here? What's should we something watching? Oh, oh my god, there's asteroids now. What's happening? I think people are taking it as a bad omen because things falling from the sky is probably not a good sign, and yeah, it's not great. And okay, so I'm just gonna draw two X's, and because we are rotating, try to not. I'm not. Oh, there we go. Two X's. X marks the spot. There we go. And bring down project clocks. And I think while we're on the spirit of trying to do stuff, I am going to. Actually, no. What should I do? Still not sure. Still not sure. I think I'm going to start. You know what? No, I'm gonna discover something new. Well, I say discover. It's probably just something that is in the community, but we've not used it before. I think for the longest time there was this makeshift derelict church inside our community boundaries. It's an old building that's clearly wasn't a church. It's clearly made up of like scrap heap and just slashed together sort of walls over the years, but it used to be a church. That's how we know in the community. But we have not used it in a long time. People not really sure why, but I think people start opening it up. I think they're looking for not solace, but I think there's a solemnity to the place that people could do it. So it's just a church for now. Let's see, box here, and then some lines. But yeah, I'm gonna draw this church while Ludo, you draw a card.
Eight of Spring. An old piece of machinery is discovered, broken, but perhaps repairable. What is it? What will it be useful for? Or an old piece of machinery is discovered, cursed and dangerous. how does the community destroy it? I'll say that as the first endeavors of the topographic expedition go, they managed to find something pretty close, and it seems to be a recent addition, a crashed satellite. And while most of it's useless for the community as it is, one of the most old women of the community, Ariel, she was renowned for her skills setting up the first buildings, and is still one of the best builders in town. She recognizes the potential of the solar panels of the satellite, which miraculously have a bunch of them still surviving intact. And she thinks that with more expertise or another way to accumulate energy, they can retrofit these solar panels. So I'm gonna draw the crashed site, and I am going to introduce something new too. I'm gonna say that as people start flocking to the church, there are rumors that the vapors of the thermic fog of the lake can let you get visions, and there are whispers that some people knew about the asteroids before they hit. So I have a lot to draw, but Sabine can go ahead.
Actually, did you already reduce the clocks? When you
No,
started to do?
no.
Okay, because one of them has finished the weapons program. Has finished weapons program. For fuck's sake. I think it's simple. I think it's a success of sort. Now we have weapons. They're not a scarcity anymore. They are a bit hodgepodge because they are, but they're essentially a lot of like pointy metal lashed to some wood. Like, yeah, sure, we got spears. You got like these cool spears, but it's a lot of rebar at the front, and you've got kind of like these makeshift swords. It's weirdly medieval. Someone's made a flail. How did they make a flail? I don't know. There was just a chain there, but there's someone with a flail now. We need to figure out who that person is because they're probably a really cool person. But I think Iris can be pleased that Yep, we have weapons now. So I'm gonna mark that resource as no longer a scarcity. And also, yes, feel free to any one of you to determine who this flail wielding person is, or if someone's made a ludicrous weapon. I don't know. But yeah, draw cards with me.
Okay, so let me see what I have. This one? Cool. There's a large body of water on the map. Where is it and what does it look like? Or there is a giant man-made structure on the map. Where is it? Why is it abandoned? Okay, so, well, I guess, what do I want? I like the man-made structure on the map. Okay. It's a tower. It's I think it's not a tower for people to live in, but like an electrical tower where a lot of wires went through, or some kind of observatory or something like that, where a satellite dish was up there. It's hard to say because it's pretty derelict, but it's pretty close to the scorched field over here and where this weapon is. So it's it's pretty large and made of metal. I think for now, what do I want to do with I want to start another project, and that is maybe turning this tower into a watchtower so we can actually watch our surroundings. And I think that will be maybe take 2 or 3 weeks. No, it's too big. Oh, that would be my project. And I'm done.
All right. Apologies, I accidentally closed the window like an idiot. But yeah, watchtowers there. I'm just gonna clear the clocks at the top. Actually, because the clocks went down, the topographic mapping has actually finished. And Ludo, why don't you narrate how that's gone?
So the project was actually a success because Soshana and her hunters, they have over the years developed an intricate system of signaling. So translating that into colored banners and whatnot was second nature to them. And as they went, they managed to circumvent to the other side of the mountain, and they can see pretty untapped potential. So it seems that it's very similar to where we are, except they did not manage to find a good source of water. But overall, it seems to be just as plenty of resources. And the mood is quite eager that, oh, these are new hunting grounds. If we are saturating our current ones, we can just hunt here. It'll be fine.
Yeah, all good. It's all coming up, our community. Nothing bad's gonna happen. Well, we're still in spring, so it'll be fine. Okay, so I drew the 3 of spring. Someone new arrives. Who? Or 2 of the community's younger members get into a fight. What provoked them? Who? I'll definitely go with someone new arrives. And no. Oh dear. All right. Okay, so no, roll 20 is messing with me again because it's terrible. Oh dear. Okay, so I think this person arrives from here, and you can't mistake the sound because it's a loud, rackety RV just bustling in. It's about to fall apart. In fact, it looks like it just about falls apart on the river here. So I'm drawing RV there, and inside that RV is this person. She calls herself Cordelia Kennard, and she says that she's a purveyor of fine literature. And that's what she says she is. And to prove it, she's got these chests of science fiction books from way, way back. What she calls old fiction or future fiction is what she's called. So it's a lot of like Asimov or, I don't know, Shelley or all that stuff. And she says that's what she's mostly here for. She's been around. She collects all these books. And clearly her RV's on her last legs. Can she stay here for a bit? And she says she's not going to do much. She's here. She wants to. She was kind of like a mobile library for all these other communities, but she's kind of stuck here. So I guess this library is yours now. So I'm gonna draw this RV. In the meantime, let's bring some clocks down. Bridge is nearly done. 1 more week. Watchtower is in 2 weeks. So that's all coming up. Oh no, I don't want you. Oh, why do you want to change color, Roll20? Why are you doing this, Roll20? We've nothing but nice to you, Roll20. But now you're just getting in our way. Come on. Come on. Okay, there we go. And some wheels. Trying to remember how you do circles. No, that's fine. There we go. Yeah, that's an RV. Those boxes. Okay, let's start a project. I think with the help of Yorick, I think Yorick and Cordelia are going to join forces, and they are going to start a proper library. Not just in a tree, but like in a proper building and stuff. And I think there's a lot of good with putting records of your place in a specific building. I think they're going to use the old church because no one's using it for now. People are coming in for quiet anyway. So what's a better place to turn into than a library? I think that's going to take a month. 4 weeks till library time. And let me actually bring down those clocks while we're at it. All right. Next turn. Yeah, Ludo, it's your turn.
Okay, so I got the 10 of spring. There's another community somewhere on the map. Where are they? What sets them apart from you? Or what belief or practice helps to unify your community? So, first we had the footsteps. And following the power line, some of our scouts that were patrolling the ways left by the Jackals, they managed to see some people scrounging near the broken tower, and they found a wandering group of scavengers and traders. They decided to spend the spring here, but they are always on the move. And what the biggest thing that separates us is that we are also semi-nomadic, at least we have been for now. But that while we are self-sustained and pretty independent, they consider themselves part of a big culture that it's composed of a lot of caravans of scavengers, and while they cannot sustain themselves, they have to trade for whatever they need. They do just fine. I mean, they come here, scavenge stuff that they can grab, sell it back, get food, get technology. Yeah. So that is so we don't seem to have much common ground. So their leader is Masala, and she is the head trader, and she says that she can contact the other caravans, and she's willing to make deals, but she's not interested so far into anything we have. So
before you do actions, bring down the clocks. And bridge is done. So
Bridge is done.
how does the bridge go, Sabine?
I think the bridge goes pretty well, considered we have lots of wood, so we can actually build a bridge. And it's a pretty stable bridge. It's almost, it's rather functionally pragmatic. It's not very pretty, but it's sturdy. So Now we have a cool bridge, and I'm going to draw it, or try to.
Yeah, don't know if it doesn't turn out well. But yeah, if you think it's all for people watching or who's on the call, if you think it's all going fine for now, there are some cards that are just outright cruel. Well, not cruel, but like they give you some hard choices for sure. Yeah, I think that's all the clocks. Watchtower is nearly done next turn. Library creation, still 2 weeks away. Ludo, what's your action?
I'm going to say we're going to have a discussion. We're going to discuss about how do we deal with these scavengers technically setting what we consider our territory.
Okay, so
So
yeah, so is that a question or a declaration? It's kind of because if it's a declaration, you don't get to end the discussion. If a question, you can have one say at the end.
okay, it's a question. How do we deal with the scavengers?
We'll do the turn order. So Sabine, you go first.
I think that General Hannah will she will take in recommendations, and a lot of people are very suspicious of these scavengers, but they're also kind of afraid that these scavengers, if we don't trade with them, that then they might start to rob us or attack us, and they are very mobile, which we aren't. And there is a rumor that this Masala has a gun.
I think Cordelia Kennard speaks up, and she's like, "Well, I've traveled a lot in these parts." Okay, I regret that accent immediately. Well, I've traveled a lot in these parts, and these scavengers, they're a dime a dozen, and these lots these lot are actually the nice kind, and that actually ask questions before shooting y'alls. So I'd say they seem like a grand old folk we could trade with, and oh my god, I'm apologies to people from the south, but yeah. So I'd say if they're willing to negotiate, then we should negotiate back.
So who did you play, Sabine? For this,
Sorry, I did not play anyone specific. That's just more of a general vibe across the community.
So it is confident on the new weapons. Scoffs at the notion, huh, she might have a gun. That just means we can have a gun. I say that at least we try to steal from them, or I don't know, either force them into making a bad deal. I mean, what is the worst that can happen?
Contempt. Okay, Sabine, your turn. We see people through colors now. I see how it is.
It's my turn again. How many turns are there in spring?
12. Hold on, let me look at the
12.
Well, actually, let me look at the deck. I'm pretty sure because each deck is let's see, it's 52 weeks overall. 13 actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I might delete some cards in the later decks so we can move things along. But I think we're going on a pace.
Okay.
Yeah, your turn.
Cool. So, are there children in the community? If there are, what is their role in the community? Or how old are the eldest members of the community? What special needs do they have? I guess we don't have that many old people because they all died in the war, but we have children. And their role in the community is what? Well, on the one hand, they are the hope for the future. On the other hand, they still have to pull their weight. There is not a lot of like free play time and things like that. They are educated in fighting, in kind of surveying stuff, and also, of course, reading and writing. But there are not a lot, maybe 3 or 4. We are hoping, because I think, who do we have? Somebody is probably pregnant, so we are putting a lot of hope on them, on her. Well, she's the female person, obviously. So who is it? It's actually, I think it's Shoshana. Or no, let's make it Cordelia. It's Cordelia who she's pregnant, it turns out, and that's why we want to keep her. More than the books, we need children. Okay, so let's. What I'm confused about the map. What is this robot thing next to the watchtower?
It's the scavengers.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay, so I want to do a project. It's a pretty quick project. It's scouting out the scavengers in preparation for an eventual ambush.
How many weeks?
And that will take 1 week. We don't have a lot of time to run around. I think that's Iris's project.
Also, speaking of projects, the watchtower is complete. So tell us how that goes.
Oh, well, the watchtower is complete. So we have a watchtower now. We have a structure. It has been strengthened by wooden beams. And there is a platform on the top from where we can watch stuff, maybe like the scavengers. That's the watch. That's a platform up there. Okay, yay!
Yeah, it looks like a strong, healthy community so far. My turn. Let's hope this goes all right. 7 of spring. Where does everyone sleep? Who is unhappy with this arrangement and why? Or what natural predators roam this area? Are you safe? Ooh, I think. Ooh, there are natural predators, but the thing is, they're they're not like. For one thing, they seem few, but they're not easily they're they can't substitute for game, that's for sure. And this is where I think they are no, they are gonna be mutant bears, but the reason they're mutated is because they're kind of, when they're hunched down, their lower half, you see their bare paws, they're fine, but you can see bristling from their eyes to their back, it's covered in flowers. Their eyes are orchids, and then some of them, will have ferns and different flowers. There's like a bear that has roses, but yeah, that's the thing. Are flowers edible? If you're really desperate, kind of, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, orchid bears, they're few and far between, but they're nasty things because you can't. I don't know. You can't probably reason with actual bears, but there's something about orchid bears. They're just like, yeah. They're hard. They're hard to deal with, and I just realized I have to draw them now. Oh no. All right, so while I think about that, let's bring down these clocks. Library creation is 1 week off, but the scavengers. Sabine, tell us how did they go? How this expedition with the scavengers went?
I think it went not too well, actually, because we're kind of a military group, and there's not a lot of stealthiness that has been taught. We know how to get around, but Anyway, we got discovered while sneaking around, and there was kind of a skirmish. Nothing too bad happened. We have some wounded, but no dead. No, neither do the scavengers. But the conflict is escalating. It's definitely us versus them now.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I think this is why they have this hold on, this step before my taking action, because now I can take an action. And we're only in spring and there's already conflict. Oh my god. All right. I think we are gonna whip this community into shape with a bunch of well, someone can start that project, but I think let's go with something more sober first. All right. I know, and I think this is General Hannah's going. I know we just had a war with the Jackals. Now we've this other belligerent group, and we need to like make sure you're all in tip-top shape. That includes even the children as well. Well, maybe not especially the children, but even the children. So I think there's going to be like a training program is going to be set up. That's going to take another, let's say, 3 weeks. They need to expedite this soon in case I know 3 weeks. You know, a lot of things could happen in 3 weeks, but you're. I think it's General Hannah saying you're better off being well prepared rather than poorly prepared. And 3 weeks is kind of like the absolute minimum they can go to get the best kind of soldiers. Besides, it's a bit of retraining. They need it for a while, but yeah, I think there's going to be a training program, and that's going to take 3 weeks. All right, so Ludo, take your turn. We'll have to draw these fucking orchid bears.
Oh. Ran out of cards in deck before drawing all cards.
Oh, fab! We are now into summer. Jeez. All right, let me just find that deck. And man, that is some good. Like if we were like a season in a TV show, that would have been like a season finale. The scavengers and the negotiations have failed. We're now in season 2. All right, so hide spring, and we are now into summer.
Where's the picture of the orchid bear?
No, I'm still conceptualizing it. It's not drawn. I need to figure it out.
Okay. Sorry.
Oh, this is great. Summer, a project finished early. What led to its early completion? The weather is nice and people can feel the potential all around them. Start a new project. I'm going to say that the training program finished early because it turns out that this was no accident that things went so poor. Because Iris, she's not only charismatic, she's ambitious. And she figured, I'm going to escalate this, I'm going to create this crisis, I got to solve this, and guess who will be the next general? Me. So she has been training a young militia for weeks now, and as soon as the training program starts, she just starts spreading her allies and the people of her, let's call it, party across the ranks of the young trainees, and they start developing camaraderie and sharing strategies. And surprising any of Anna's expectations, everyone seems to be on point. This discipline has been like it has never been on years. Now, let's go down the clocks. Oh, the library is done.
Yep. So, I think this library is fine, but given that everyone's gotten so freaking militant and that happened. Oh, that was quick. I think this library is yeah, I love Iris too. It's a love to hate sort of relationship. This library, it could have been better. I think it's very, instead of being a nice library, it's very clearly a former church with some books stacked around. I think it is mostly York and Cordelia, mostly Cordelia holding it down. Maybe one or two assistants, and maybe a couple people pop by every now and then when they need a break from training or all these sundry projects. But it's not the most loved sort of place, especially not to the top brass who are like, there are better things to do than read right now. We can learn about the future or the past later when we have the present to deal with. So I think it's very much, it's there if people need it, but I don't think it was what Cordelia and Yorick hoped for. It's a shame. So yeah, Doodle, your action.
As action, I'm going to start a new project. And this project is going to be joint initiative with the scavengers. So Iris' long-term girlfriend, Dalila, she has took a liking to Cordelia, and she really dug deep into the books. And the more she read, the more she was displeased with her girlfriend's actions and the leadership of the community. And she really cannot stand anymore Ari's stunt. And as this begins to showing signs of working, she's on her way to use the scavengers as a scapegoat for her little coup. She decides to do the opposite, to reach out to the scavengers and try to piece things and say, look, you guys wander around, you need a place to rest, your people need a place to rest, there are other traders, we can build a permanent trading post here, we maintain it, you pay us for the maintenance of this, and we make sure that we store goods, and make sure that you're gonna always have food, roof, and water. So this will probably be long term because they are very suspicious of us. So I'm gonna say it will be 6 weeks for the joint project with scavengers. And I guess I have to build I'm gonna draw the trading post.
Okay, Sabine, your turn. I'm down here. Also, don't mind the very sad clock-looking thing there in the corner. I'm gonna work on it. I need to Google what orchids look like because I've forgotten.
It's totally okay. I love it. So, what are you saying to me? Someone new arrives. Who? Why are they in distress? Or someone leaves the community. Who? What are they looking for? I think I want someone new to arrive. And I think it's one of the scavengers. They have been mauled actually by an orchid bear, and he buys his way into the community with I think he has a weapon. It's not well, he has yes, he has some grenades. They're flashbang grenades, not those kinds of that explode, but flashbang grenades are very nice. Anyway, and he says that he doesn't want to be with the scavengers anymore because they run around all the time and they send him out to get food on his own. And then he got mauled by these orchid bears, and his friend who was hunting with got eaten by the orchid bears. So he wants to stay with the community, and he will give them those flashbang grenades and instructions on how to use them, and maybe even instructions on how to make them. But the first they would have to find some resources for that. His name is Benjamin, and I think going into this, there will be an expedition to find some kind of sulfur to make these flashbang grenades. That will take a while. It will take maybe 4 weeks if they find anything at all. And I'm drawing points on the map, but well, you've got to bear with me. I'll draw some flashbang grenades. They will be stored at, I think, at Yorick's house, because he doesn't use it for the records anymore anyway, so they can store the flashbang grenades there.
How many weeks again for the Silver Expedition?
4, I think, if they can't find anything. Color do flashbang grenades have?
So yeah, the Island Scavengers go down a week. There we go. And my turn. 9 of Summer. A project fails. Which one? Why? Or something goes foul and supplies are ruined, add a new scarcity. Yeah, I don't want to ruin any of these projects for now. They're all kind of big. and yeah, I think something goes foul and supplies are ruined. Let's see. And we need to add a new scarcity. Oh, I think let's see. What do we have here? Crappy caravan. Move this card. I think what's gonna be ruined is our pile of yeah, you know what happens? Very simply, summer rains just happened and the cave floods. and I why do we keep stuff in there? That's where the river comes from. And actually, you don't even know what it is, but just a torrent of water comes out of the river for some reason. The bridge holds because it's a fine bridge, but yeah, it's a very nice bridge. But yeah, I think we are now scarce in food. Might want to rectify that before anything else. And let me see if roll 20 will let me draw. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The pond kind of just fills up a bit, I guess. But yeah, there we go. There we go. Lots of strings of water. And all right, so I'm gonna pull down the clocks. Thankfully, they're all still on track. And let's see, 4 and 3. Okay, so I'm gonna start a project. I think one of the enterprising youths of the community. Let's give them a name. Let's see. You know what, let's name them Sky. Their name's Sky. Skye. They have a lot of ideas. They think that, okay, no food. We found these new places for game, but we're kind of busy starting a war at the moment. You know what's nearby, and we might be able to convert something to food. Orchid bears. So I'm gonna propose, and it's gonna be them, Sky, and maybe a foolhardy bunch. They're going to try and capture an orchid bear and see what they can do with it. Right? And they, not okay. They're gonna try and basically capture orchid bear in the same way you capture a deer for food. They're trying to hunt it down and see what it is, because usually all this time they've been scared of these bears. But you know what? They're made of flowers. We can take flowers, even if they're in bear form. So that's gonna take. I'm gonna give them a generous 2 weeks. These poor chaps. To try and alleviate our food scarcity, we're gonna go after the bears. Ludo, your turn.
Tree of Summer. Summer is a time for production and tending to the earth. Start a project related to food production. Or summer is a time for conquest and the gathering of might. Start a project related to military readiness and conquest. Now, uh, Soshana wants nothing to do with these children and their nonsense about beers, and before she had to calm down for the pregnancy, she she remembers the topographic analysis that she did for Yorick, and she remembers the bounty on the other side of the mountain, and she has a more pragmatic view. She turns to her hunters and announces, "Look, it makes no sense that we put all our food here. So what I suggest is that we make a hunting lodge and a smokehouse on the other side of the forest, and where there our hunters can live there for days while they hunt, prepare the meat, and bring it here." So she proposes the building of a hunter lodge on the other side of the forest. Now, I'm gonna say this is gonna be, well, it's a hunter lodge. It can be pretty simple when it starts operating. So I'm gonna say it will be 3 weeks. And
Sorry, say that again.
3 weeks.
2 weeks. So I think it's Cordelia who's pregnant.
Oh, I thought it was Soshana. Well, Soshana is now pregnant though.
Okay. But either way, it wasn't going to stop her.
Yeah. Okay, the clocks go down, but I don't think anything resolves.
No, and the fun thing is, even though you just started a project, it will also go down as well. So that's now down to 2 weeks. We'll figure out how the Orchid Bear expedition goes on. Sulfur expedition is down to 2, and the Leyland Scavenger is down to 3.
So I'm gonna introduce something new. I want to say, when people start going for the hunting lodge, they notice a strange growth of fungi and lichens and some of the nearby trees, and they discover that this seems to have psychotropic activities. So there starts to be kind of forest cult among the hunters, in which they use these lichens and fungi to commune with it, and they say that that makes them better hunters. And I have 2 stuff to draw.
Cool.
Actually, we're since we're at the top of the hour. Let's take another break. 5 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we'll get to your turn then. But yeah, 5 minutes. BRB. All right, Fab, we're back. Just toss it a bit. Yeah, okay, Sabine, your turn.
Okay. So I'll draw a card, which I could have done before. And there it is. It's a 7. Introduce a mystery at the edge of the map, or an unattended situation becomes problematic and scary. What is it? How does it go awry? I think I want to take a look at these TV screens and the flickering they do in the night. Because we haven't looked at that for a long time, and then we will understand that some of our younger members have taken to going out there and kind of talking to these TV screens, and maybe these TV screens are even answering them. And they're talking about all kinds of stuff, about our community, about our resources, about what we're doing. And I think somebody on the other hand of the end of these TV screens is listening. It might be the scavengers, it might be third party, who knows. But there's something going on with these TV screens, and somebody's watching us through them. Yeah, that's the scary thing that is happening.
I'll bring down the clocks. Okay, the line of scavengers, 2 weeks away. Excited to see this lovers quarrel between Iris and Eliza. Self-realization is down to 1. Oh, God, come on, 20. Hunting Lodge. It's flicking these words, trying to combine them. No. All right, no, yeah, I'm moving away from the box. There we go. Let's forget Hunting Lodge. That's down to 1. And orchid bears. Let's see. So Sky and Benjamin and maybe 2 or 3 other folks go into the forest, and miraculously, after 2 weeks, they've come out, and Sky is now riding an orchid bear. They're now, and Sky is now like, okay, we found that these orchid bears, once you take time to pay attention to them and to know their needs, they're quite, they are actually quite tameable, and they take one of the flowers of the orchid bear's pelt and actually chews into it, and they kind of discover the orchid bear flowers. They're actually nutritious. They actually help out in some ways, and this orchid bear, who I think Sky has named Flower because they couldn't think of anything at the moment when they tamed the bear. They're like, okay, yes, we found a way to tame the orchid bears. It's grand, and everyone goes yay, and Sky's kind of like push their hands through they have like long curly auburn hair. But when they brush it out, for some reason leaves keep coming out when they're brushing their hair through leaves. I don't know what that's about. But yeah, for now, food scarcity might be solved if they find more of these orchid bears. Maybe. Who knows? But yeah, your action, Sabine.
Yeah, I'm going to start a project, and I'm going to lean into that, what you just said, because Hannah was thinking about having some food source that is not relying on hunting and stuff. She thought about maybe growing kale, but now that Sky's come back with the orchid bears, and those flowers are actually tasty, so she will task Sky to go out and get them herd of orchid bears, so they can eat flowers and whatever other stuff is growing on them. She thinks that's a great idea, and I think Sky will take 3 weeks to do that, or to try to do that.
So down there, cultivate orchid bears, and Figure out a way to draw all that. Yeah, you know what? No, that orchid bear drawing is gonna work fine now. It's adorable, apparently. Okay, I'll draw. Oh dear, the King of Summer. Discard the top 2 cards off the top of the deck. Summer is fleeting. Discard the top 2 cards at the top of the deck and take 2 actions this week. Okay, so it's gonna work because let me try to figure this out how to do this in Roll20. But I think what's gonna happen is I'm just gonna draw the next 2 cards and keep them for myself. Okay, so hold on. Oh dear, don't freeze on me now. Okay, so I'm gonna take 2 actions. Let's drop these clocks first. The Lion Scavengers, week away. Cultivate Orchid Bears, 2 weeks away. Sulfur Expedition has completed. How did that go? Sabine.
It's muted. I'm drawing the eyes on the TV screens. So, what sulfur expedition for the flashbang grenades? I think they found some sulfur, and but something went wrong because there were some of these young kids with them, and one of them thought that it would be a good idea to sacrifice the sulfur to the voice from the TVs, and they burned it up and made a lot of nice fire. And I think now the community has a problem with some of these TV cultists. Who knows? Maybe it's all right, but there isn't enough sulfur for more flashbang grenades, but they made a lot of noise and a lot of records, so maybe the scavengers will be scared and careful about them anyway. Yeah.
Oh my god, these kids.
Yeah.
Hopefully the more sober-minded people who are not taking psychotropic drugs in the hunting lodge is doing better. How did the hunting lodge go, Ludo?
So, the hunting lodge is operating fine. The thing is, between the psychotropic drugs and the cult of the forest, the hunters start to get unruly. I mean, as the shipments of food keep arriving, the hunters keep complaining, "Oh, we work so hard. We are the only people that really work on this community. And what do we see for it? They depend on us, but instead they spend all their time on military drilling and whatnot, or playing with the scavengers. We are the true heart of the community. We should be in charge. We are the hunters. They cannot do anything with us." So they start to get disgruntled.
All these disgruntled people. Okay, all right. So those are 2 complete projects. Oh my god, I like that in the first season we're like, yeah, we're getting things done. Now we're all just not even through the fault of the cards. We're all tripping over each other. What's happening? I'm gonna hold a discussion. And it's simply, what's up with our youth today? Yeah. So Ludo, you go first.
So it's Yorick that makes the call, and he's like, "I don't understand. We had nothing, and all the children came are always curious to learn other trade, to trade with each other, to learn what the others have been discovering. Now all they do is they make their own cliques. They never come for me. They never go to the library, and instead they just close themselves in these tiny groups, and they compete with each other, and they quarrel with each other. They are not becoming the community of the future. These kids are growing into young adults that will tear themselves apart."
Well, at that point, one of those TV listening future kids will come forward and tell everybody, but ramblingly, that the future is in technology and not in hunting with bow and arrow, but they should all. But when one thing, Yorick is right, we're tearing ourselves apart. Sky with the Orky bears, and Shoshana with her whatever hunting thingy, and Iris, who just wants to kill people, which is kind of wrong. And so they suggest that everybody should have a party because that would bring the community together. And then they could share the psychotropic drugs maybe that the hunters have. And make fireworks. They still have some sulfur.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I need to calm down. Oh my god. Sorry, I just love that so much.
And the party totally should be at the lake, of course, because these what the fog there makes everybody relaxed.
Add that.
Enough wishes.
I think General Hannah is going to speak up, and she's just going to say, clearly what these children need is just a bit of direction. They're rambunctious lot. They've got a lot of energies. We just need to harness them. And we have always been a military community. We have always looked to the strictures of discipline to keep our community going. If these children want direction, if they want distraction, then we should give them that. Yeah, and I think I'm going to discover something new as my second action. Know what? Because I don't know if I'm going to resolve this or not. Do you know how in the past, when people traveled around these forests here, there are these clearings that have been cleared off by fire and whatnot? Well, in the distance, well, everyone feels it. This big shockwave from there. And everyone in the community feels it. Just this wind, this force just slams through everyone. And they can see in the distance just a great big fireball. Not a nuclear explosion, but a big fireball emerging. It's kind of like just gigantic fire explosion. Everyone in the community in this map could see it. Something has happened in the edge. And it's just fire and brimstone over there. And yeah, we'll see if that'll ever be resolved. Okay, so I'm going to draw the next two cards because the King of Summer says take off the next two. And then we'll go to Ludo's turn. We'll draw. We'll take that. Oh, we don't get to play with the ace. Sorry. Draw that. Oh, we don't get to play with the 10. Sorry. All right, Ludo, your turn.
Predators and bad omens are afoot. You are careless, and someone goes missing under ominous circumstances. Who? Or, predators and bad omens are afoot. What measures do you take to keep everyone safe and under surveillance? Do not reduce projectiles this week. I'm going to say predators are on foot, and the kids are getting too careless with the orchid beers, and one day Benjamin is just gone. So we reduce the clocks. And so the dealer and the scavengers, they manage their their project. Now, Delilah approaches Masala and the rest of the scavengers, and they talk, and she spends a lot of weeks with them, the negotiating, showing the future side for the trading post, showing the benefits of it, showing the fresh goods that are coming from the forest, the influx of sulfur, and even if they are a bit suspicious about of the military tone of many of the community, they start to see that the same eagerness and energy that makes them so aggressive also makes them very innovative and hardworking partners. So they decide to start this endeavor together. Now, these most people on the community seem to like this. However, Irish goons, they know that they cannot move directly against Delilah, but they tend to loiter around the trading post. And whenever Delilah is not around, they try to provoke and harass any scavengers that are passing by. And what do I do with my action? I'm gonna say that Delilah is really pissed with that even after her success, Iris is kind of trying to undermine it by trying to start trouble, and she decides she had enough. And she had enough with Iris, and she had enough with Anna, and honestly, she had enough with only the general having any say. Because today it might be Iris, tomorrow it will be another idiot that tries to take power. So she decides to make the motion to have elections for a council of elders, so that every of the emergent factions of the community have a say in its future. So organize elections. I'm gonna say this is gonna be a 6 project, because she's going to implement some heavy reforms to have this happen, and gonna need a lot of lobby.
Let's hope nothing bad happens to our project in the next 6 weeks.
Yeah, I guess I'll make just a symbol to represent that, and Sabine can go.
Cool. So I draw a card. And I've got a 4 of summer. The eldest among you dies. What caused the death? Or the eldest among you is very sick. Caring for them and searching for a cure requires the help of the entire community. Do not reduce project dies this week. Okay. So I think the eldest of us, that's Yorick, I guess. And he dies in the library. He dies with a book in his hands and while reading. And it's probably a natural death, but there are some rumors going around that he has been criticizing Hannah and trying to push back against the whole military thing. And maybe some people say that Hannah didn't really love Yorick from the beginning and that there was bad blood between them. Well, yeah, there's a bit of unrest and Hannah's support is wavering. So that's what happens there.
All right, we put down the clocks. Cultivate orchids. How's that go? That was mine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that cultivate orchids. I think that goes pretty well. Now they have Sky came back from her expedition with a herd of let's say 5 orchid bears. One of them is a female, 3 of them are male, and one of them is a young orchid bear that's probably going to be a female once it's grown. It's hard to say with orchid bears, really. And they bring them back, and they're all seemingly very relaxed, the whole group, when they come back. And they're very close to their orchid bears, like they've kind of bonded, like a Sky and Flower. They're inseparable, really. But you might also notice that those leaves that fell from Sky's hair, they look fresher now, but they're still in their hair. So, and the others too, they have flowers in their hair or leaves or stuff. They have all plant stuff in their clothes. It's kind of weird, but they are bringing along all these orchid bears and all this food, and so the food scarcity is gone for now. And I'm going to draw a lot of orchid bears. Probably not.
You still have an action to do.
Yeah, I still have an action to do, but I think what Cordelia, who is now highly very pregnant, she proposes to put up kind of a memorial to Yorick and start some kind of graveyard, actually, with a memorial to Yorick. That won't take very long, maybe 2 weeks, but she's really adamant about it. So that's a project. Create a graveyard.
Oh, that's sad. All right, my turn. Outsiders arrive in the area. Why are they a threat? How are they vulnerable? Or outsiders arrive in the area. How many? How are they greeted? I think suddenly, on the edge of the forest here. Oh, nope. God darn it, roll 20. You messing my dramatic mumbo jumbo. Come on. Edge of the forest here. The one night they all just came. This band of people in most of them are wearing very dusty leathers, like ashen. Their faces are blackened with soot and ash, and some of them with leathers. 1 or 2 of them are wearing these very kit bashed metallic armor where you can't see their faces, and they look like they've been running for years. They look tired and haggard, and I think, but when they came, but they're not they don't seem to be sending out any feelers for negotiating and whatnot. They're just content to stay kind of around here. And how there are threats, I think also, even though there's a few of them, and they are clearly bristling with weapons, and these are proper weapons, like guns. Some of them has one of them with the armor has a flamethrower, but they're keeping to the edge of the community because there's not that many of them. Let's say 10, and they're clearly ragged. It looks like they've been running, and I don't think they realize that there are other people here as well. And it looks like they walked through an explosion, is what I'll say. And they're just sticking to the edge for now. And I will draw these folk. Move my card here. And yeah, we'll move down the clocks actually. Organize elections down to 5. Memorial down to 1. Find out next week. 5. Cultivate. And I think there's going to be a project, and okay, what's the contours of this project? Because there are elections going on right now, but there's still threats. There's still people coming in. So General Hannah, I think, she is, because there's a training program earlier, but that was kind of usurped by Iris. Oh, God. I think she is going to start negotiations with Iris to combine their militia together because, look, there's a new threat. And because the thing is, our community, all they still have are swords and spears, maybe an arrow or two. But these folk, they've got guns, and one or two of them look like robots. And honestly, not say they are robots, but they're encased in metal armor. They don't seem to come out of it. They might be robots. That's up to the rest of you. But I think this is Hannah starting to try to woo Iris to her side. They're like, look, you've got, I know you want to replace me. I'm not an idiot, but we've got bigger threats right now. And I need to join forces. I think this is kind of like a tense 2-week negotiation while they wait to see what these strangers do. And all right, so that's a lot to draw. And okay, so it's Ludo's turn.
Summer 8. Someone tries to take control of the community by force. Do they succeed? Why do they do this? A headstrong community member decides to put one of their ideas in motion. Start a foolish project. So while the negotiations are happening, Iris takes an opportunity. She manages to have their goons take some of the stun grenades and pretty much subdue Anna's companions on the negotiation and arrest her. And she makes a show that Anna has been reaching out for the robots or metal armor people, and that she is taking control of the situation until this can be clarified. And she tries to impose a bit of a martial law. Anna so far is playing along because she knows that Iris is going to pull something like this. So she's trying to avoid bloodshed. So she say, I'm innocent. I'm going to be trialed. We'll solve this. On the meantime, the most important thing is that we remain united. Go along with what Iris says. So clocks go down, and the graveyard is done in the middle of this mess.
Aww.
Yeah, in the middle of this mess, I think Cordelia is trying to ignore everything that goes around her. She just wants to build this graveyard, and a lot of people, I think, they're pretty much tired of these antics. There are metal people now and scavengers and stuff, and Iris and Hannah are pissing at each other, and who knows what Shoshana and Saren are up to. So let's just build this graveyard for our peace of mind, really. So that's what they are going to do. That's going to be a rather lovely graveyard, actually, because, well, that's just something people really want to see, just something nice.
Okay, and your action, Ludo.
Okay, I'm gonna start a project, Anna's trial. So I'm gonna say this is gonna be a long one, 6, because Iris pretty much needs to get support from people. create incriminating evidence, try to lobby the few people on the fence, because she has no point there. So if this is rushed, she does not have time to frame her. Also, the more time this delays, the more time she's on the facto power.
God, Iris is a piece of work.
She's the worst.
I'm going to draw a card now before I've gone to graveyard, but hey, graveyards can wait. Draw. Oh no, we've run out of cards before drawing all cards, so I guess we finished the summer, right?
Oh Christ. Oh yeah, yep. We are now into autumn.
Cool.
There we go. I'm gonna hide summer and geez. Once again. Yeah, let's see where autumn takes us.
No, not there. So, beginning of autumn. I have a lot of spring. That doesn't help me. Yeah, come on. I want to look at you. Yes. The community becomes obsessed with a single project. Which one? Why? Choose one. They decide to take more time to ensure it's perfect. At 3 weeks to the project die, they drop everything else to work on it. All other projects fail. If there are no projects underway, the community becomes obsessed with a grandiose vision, hold a discussion about this vision in addition to regular action. We have projects underway, the election, the collaboration, well, the trial. So I think what really gets these people going is the trial, because that kind of gets everything together, draws everything together. And I think they drop everything else to work on it. All other projects fail. So we work on the trial of General Hannah, and everything else goes by the wayside. The whole Iris Hannah collaboration. And those elections, well, yeah, maybe after the trial. Yeah, sad, really.
Ouch. So we don't even okay, we can bring down this project clock at least.
Yeah.
This one lone clock.
Okay. Oh my god. Okay, and then I'll have to let them either discover something new or start a new project. And I think will they discover something new? Yeah, I know what they will discover, because from the cave in the water supply, there is trouble because there is some coloring that might be algae that come out of the cave. Just the water kind of turns a reddish color with all these algae, and it looks really not that nice. And even the pool, it kind of smells weird. Maybe this will pass, though. Who knows? So there's that.
Ah, poor community. Remember, like an hour and a half ago, we were like, it's all going well. Not anymore. 8th of autumn. Someone sabotaged a project and the project fails as a result. Who did this and why? Or someone is caught trying to sabotage those efforts of the community. How does this community respond? Oh, God. See, this is what happens when you give 6 weeks to a project. There are many ways to ruin it. I think people are tired of this Iris Hannah nonsense. I think um well, the thing is, No, I think no. You know what? No, I'm not gonna. No, project doesn't fail. I think it's more interesting to see how long this goes and see how it ends. I think someone is caught trying to sabotage the efforts of the community. And let's see what is happening in the community. Not much is happening. Everyone's whacked out. It's so weird. Let me look over NPCs because I know how I would make the project fail. I know how I do it, and oh no, you know what? Yeah, you know what? No, the project will fail. Do you know why? Because one day they come to Anna's cell, they find her sitting in bed, book with a book on her, and her eyes filled with flowers, and the trial fails because Anna's dead. But her eyes are now filled with flowers. That's how the project fails. And people are rolling dice. Wait, what happened? But yeah.
I'm still fighting already.
No, it's fine. I was just confused. I heard the dice sound. But yes, the trial of General Hannah fails because General Hannah is dead and with flowers in her eyes. However that song goes. Yeah. I'm gonna delete that. Oh, we have no projects. We should rectify that. So, you know what? Since Hannah's gone and elections aren't probably needed, that kind of leaves one person as de facto ruler of this place. But never mind that for now. For now, let's dial it back. Let's dial back all these tensions. It's too much. It's a bit much. So I think the TV cult, folks who look into the screens, I think and this is all people kind of know of this, but they're starting a new project. And they're whispers of rumors of what they're trying to do. Well, actually, they're whispers. The whispers are kind of they know. I think the community's kind of know. But what they're doing is they're kind of scavenging around the community buildings, looking at the resource and whatnot, and they're trying to build more TVs. That's gonna take, let's say, 4 weeks, and we'll see how successful these kids are. But yeah, that's an explosive turn. For fuck's sake. Okay. Ludo, your turn.
Autumn 4. The strongest among you dies. What causes the death? Or the weakest among you dies. Who's to blame for their death? So there are these tensions after Anna's death. There's an outcry for an investigation, for elections, but Iris seems to be harnessing the situation pretty well. Until one night in which there is the bang of a stun grenade and the sound of knife. And when the mess is over, you can see some of the older officers of Anna, as well as Iris and her closest advisors, are dead. And the two military factions without leaders, they kinda disband and are slowly absorbed by the others. So after this Night of Knives, it's time to rebuild. And there is, in addition to Yorick's memorial, there is now a project to make two memorials and a unity festival on the graveyard that so that the community never again forgets this event. So I'm going to add the project, the Anna and Iris Memorial. It's going to be a 2 weeks project.
Jesus, that was that was some turns.
Hmm. Well, okay. I've got a 5. The parish arrives. Who are they? Why have they chosen your community? And for what? Or a small gang of marauders is making its way through local terrain. How many are there? And what weapons do they carry? Huh. Well, I think, yeah, I have an idea. So these marauders, they are actually drones. They are military drones. They are kind of rusty, though. They are flying around, and it's pretty clear that they're actually looking for those metal guys who are running around in our forest. But they're not too particular at what they shoot. They're not actually shooting at people, but they will shoot at the remains of this RV, at Cordelia's RV, and they will take pot shots at the TV screens, or maybe they will scare the orchid bears. And up until now, nobody has a clear idea what to do about these things, because we could shoot them with arrows, but is that really a good idea? They seem to be, they aren't actually after anybody from our community, but they're setting stuff on fire, and well, yeah, they're just rather disruptive. Yeah, so there's that. And then we have projects. The TV called Builds TVs. And then as Memorial, they both go up 1 week, but nothing else happens. And I want to add something new. I want to add a new thing, and that's that one at night. The TV cultists, they will notice that the orchid bears are sitting around the TV screens and watching for motions and lights, and they're very attentive. And also between these TV screens, there are vines growing, like maybe vines with flowers. So maybe the orchid bears are taking over the TVs. Weird.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm just gonna just move on. We'll do any implications later. Okay, so the 10 of autumn. Harvest is here and plentiful, add in abundance, or cold autumn winds drive out your enemies, remove a threat, remove a, hold on, the thing's blocking me. Remove a threatening force from the map in the area. Better be done with that 2 turns ago. No, drones are just here. We're gonna get no, we'll gain an abundance. I think the cool thing with these resources, they can be kind of abstract. I think the harvest here is that after these very explosive deaths and whatnot, and all these things happening, I think people become just a bit more cautious. I think what happens is they just become more wary of, like, all right, look, let's not start sending off our people again to random expeditions. Let's keep to what we know, which is, these newly found hunting grounds, and this area around here. So I think the community gets an abundance of caution at the moment. Let's play it safe. Let's build the clocks down. TV cult, one more week. But the memorial, how's that go?
The memorial goes rather well. I mean, Delilah speaks about how it is, and now that she's dead, she actually makes the peace for that and speaks about Anna and how she kept everyone safe. And she tells the community that both women, even if in the end misguided, they all saw a vision of the community together and wanted to protect it. And the scavengers send the dignitaries to pay respect, and they contribute to a small metal statue in the honor of the two women. And it seems that there is an increased harmony between the different factions as they decide to de-escalate the situation and try to live together, going with the mood of caution.
Fab. Just realized I have to draw caution now. Oh, I could have picked something that's not abstract, like, food or anything, but no, I had to be caution. How do you represent that on the map? I'm just going to draw some sunglasses. Are they caution? That's fine. Okay. All right. I am going to start a project. This is simple. Cordelia's about to come to term with her pregnancy. I think what they think is her due date is in 3 weeks. Yes, this is big. I think this is the first pregnancy. This is the first birth in years for this place. So this is gonna be big. That's why it's an entire project. So that's gonna take 3 weeks. And meanwhile, I'm gonna draw some sunglasses.
2 of autumn. Someone returns to the community. Who? Where were they? You find the body. Do people recognize who it is? What happened? Benjamin returns. And he returns different. He seems to have been mauled by orchid bears. But he tells people that he was dragged to the den where all orchid bears come to bloom, and there he was transformed. The parts that were destroyed during the attack regrew as a vascular system of vines. So Benjamin returned as some kind of hybrid orchid man. So the TV cult finished building its TVs?
Yeah, they do. But it's not a bunch of TVs. It is in fact one big TV that one night everyone just sees they have mounted on top of the watchtower. They now have a giant TV. Well, not a giant TV, but a big kind of billboard like screen. They've kind of depleted everything from where the jackal space. I'm just calling it the jackal space, I guess. And they've taken apart Cordelia's RV and all the glass they could find, apparently. And so there's now a giant TV screen. And the weird thing is, most of the community, all they see is static there. But some people would just see things, and other people were like, but that's just static. But other people are like, no, don't you see? It makes sense. It all makes sense. And but the thing is, it's very noticeable. I don't think the cultists, I don't think they planned for this to be a long-term thing. I think they just wanted the shock of like, all right, there's now a TV screen that everyone can see. And Who knows what they have planned for that? Okay. So that's a TV code then.
So, as my action, I'm gonna say that people start taking cuts from Benjamin's body and see if they can make medicine from it. Gonna say that's a 3 weeks project.
Medicine. So it's my turn, right? Draw. I've got the Queen of Autumn. Wonder what that is. Oh no! Disease spreads through the communities. Choose one. You spent the week quarantining and treating the disease. Projectiles are not reduced this week. Nobody knows what to do about it. Add health and fertility as a scarcity. I think all in all, doing all that stuff, it's mostly we're spending the week quarantining and treating the disease and not working on projects, while Cordelia will just have to yeah, well, she will just have to keep it in, I guess, which is weird, but hey, so maybe it's just prolonged because of the disease that is going around. That disease has to do with flowers, and I think a lot of people are getting hay fever, actually, but rather pronounced, with running noses and swollen eyes, like they can't see anymore. And so everybody's crowding together just to treat them and maybe be careful about Benjamin medicine for that. It's maybe not the best idea. So let's reduce projects. No, let's not, because we are caring about the diseased and not working on projects. But in the whole thing that we are doing, I can still start a new project, right? Because I think our new project will be making friends with those metal guys, or making contact even, just to find out what they're about and what those droids want, and if we can kind of work together, and maybe they have some medicine for our hay fever stuff. So I think Saren, the TV cult kid, wants to make contact with them because he kind of feels connected to these. And this project will take maybe 2 weeks, because it can't be too hard, right, for a TV cult prophet guy.
Okay, I think we're going to take our final break, and we're going to clean up. And after that, we're going to clean up the rest of autumn and see how winter deals with us. I will say, if we make it to this time an hour and we still haven't drawn a King of Winter, I will just draw the King of Winter. And I think we should keep to the 4 hours. But for now, on the hour, 6 minutes or 5 minutes, depending on. I'm looking at this clock. I'm just waiting for it to turn to 20:55. No, whatever. On top of the hour. Anyway, we'll be back from there. Okay, so BRB. Those accursed orchid bears. Who was it? Sabine's turn before the break, right?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Okay, all right. I'm not saying I'm starting to lose the plot, but no, it's fine. Just need to remember that. Okay, so it is my turn.
Oh, I accidentally drew another card. I'm so sorry. I damned this community.
Oh no! Can you just read that card then?
Sure.
I'll treat that as mine. Actually, tell me what the number is.
It's a 7 of autumn.
Oh, jeez, I was hoping that wasn't it. Okay, I have the oracle here. I'll just read out from there. A project just isn't working out as expected. Radically change the nature of this project. Don't modify the project die. When it resolves, you'll be responsible for telling the community how it went. Or something goes foul and supplies are ruined. Add a new scarcity. Hmm. Geez, there's a lot of these. Okay, so I think no, I don't want to change the pregnancy. That is the one pure thing. And I think what's starting to happen is that okay, so you know how it was mentioned that the orchid bears were gathering around the TV and there was vines coming to the TV. And I think Benjamin has been hanging around the TVs as well. The thing is, the TVs are starting to resist. They don't the TVs themselves, they don't like that they're being usurped by this by these plants. So what's happened is one night, I think Benjamin is kind of trying in at the TVs when these wires snake out of the TVs and attach to him. And suddenly there's now a poor Benjamin, there's now a tug of war in his body now. One part of him is trying to stay all plant-like, while the other is being usurped by circuitry, by by cathode ray tubes and parts. So it's now people aren't studying for its medicine now. Now they're studying to figure out what the fuck is happening. The poor chap. So yeah, so that is now Benjamin. Yes, Benjamin the Orchiborg, as Ludo has mentioned in the chat. The Orchid Cyborg. Oh, Orchid Cyborg. And I'm gonna draw a TV on his head. That is symbolic. Doesn't mean a TV literally grew on his head, but yeah, yeah, you know what I mean. So okay, so the project clocks go down, including that. Oh my god. I don't know. Once we got rid of the two meddling despots, we just amped up the Christ on a bike. I think we're gonna hold a discussion, and this question is simple. The community is faced with two choices: TV or orchids. And the question is, which one should we deal with first? I guess. Actually, no. I'll put this out to the two of you. Actually, I do want your input in this. Do you want the question to just be orchids or TV, or do you want the question is what do we do with either of them?
I guess what we do is fine, because both still seem to be pretty fringe groups among the society.
Oh, well, yeah. I like the idea of how do we do with it. Deal with it. Look.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Let's say, how do we deal with these TV cults and orchids just growing everywhere?
So Delilah Camps with masala behind, which seems to be a common feature after the memorial. People, we have resources. We are not alone on this. The scavengers, they have people all around the world. They can ask around, find if people had faced similar problems, and if we work with them, we can really understand what is going on here.
Well, the next one to talk to people is Sarah, the TV prophet, who is structurally friendship maybe with Sky, the Orchid Bear person. And he suggests that maybe some kind of synthesis can be reached, some kind of middle ground between the orchid bears, because they are obviously necessary for food and for, warmth. The bears are warm in winter, and winter is coming. And the whole TV thing, that's the future, and we don't know what promise it holds. But if we combine these two forces, that can be the future of our community, and that can make us survive this winter. So please give in to the orchiborgs. He kind of starts losing his audience after the whole orchiborg thing.
Shoshana speaks up. Bet you forgot about this other cult. No, that's not what she says. Shoshana speaks up. Turns out the hunting lodge has been doing fine while all this madness is happening over here. And I think she says, look, us hunters, we've spent quite some time exploring the new lands over the other side of the community, and what we found there is good land that's still uncultivated for our people, and we need not have to come to bloodshed if people want to stay and deal with this orchid cyborg movement. They can, but if people want to go, we can take them and we can keep them safe and we can build anew somewhere else. Okay. And no, she seems like the old Shoshana. No, there's nothing weird going on there. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Nothing. Okay, Ludo, your turn.
Six of autumn. Introduce a dark mystery among the members of the community. Another, or conflict flares up about community members, and as a result, a project fails. I'm going to introduce a dark mystery. We get to the hunting lodge, and we see that the hunters all are wearing animal masks, and there's around bluish smoke, and they are calling for the power of the forest. The door of the lodge opens, and a biped creature, 3 meters tall, with the head of a stag and a body of a mountain cat, enters in. An avatar of the forest. Is this real? Is this a delusion from all the psychotropics? So we have actual projects to resolve now.
Yeah, so let's see. What should we start with first? We'll down the Orkiborg, down to one. Let's start with the metal people. How did that go?
Saren and the metal people, that actually went pretty well. They were just running from the explosion that happened a while ago. They don't really know what that was about. They think it was maybe natural gases or a conspiracy or the robot overlords arguing. They're not entirely certain. They just ran, and they're pretty glad that they came here, but they're being followed by these droids, not druids. They're followed by the droids, and they just want to escape them. They keep talking about their robot overlords. That's apparently a bad thing. And Saren will make, yeah, well, they will strike up some sort of friendship. Yeah.
God darn it. Meanwhile, Cordelia's pregnancy, I think, no, that goes fine. I think the strange thing is all this weirdness is happening. Actually, if you notice in the map, which you can't if you're viewing this, whoever's watching this in the future, I'll probably post a link on the map down there. But if you notice, most of all this weirdness is happening on the other side of the river, not in the actual community itself, except for the hunting lodge. So I think the pregnancy, it goes as well as it could, and Cordelia gives birth to a healthy baby girl, whom she names. You know what? No, it's the future. She's gonna name this girl Yorick, and and I think there's a contingent of community who's just like who celebrates that there's a new life, and yeah, there's now a baby Yorick, and Cordelia's happy, and a bunch of people are happy.
So, to try to put things in order and to enjoy the last days of fall, the hunters call for a grand hunt where they call everyone of the community to go with them chasing big game so that they can smoke it for the winter. So organize great hunt, and I'll say that will be 2 steps. I mean, it's a bit of a rush to enjoy the last time of the fall. So yeah.
It's my turn now, right? Not that I'm... It is? Yes? No? Yes. Cool. Eep, eep. Hey. It's a king. It's the king of autumn. A natural disaster strikes the area. Choose one. You focus on getting everyone to safety, remove an abundance, and a project fails. You focus on protecting your supplies and hard work. At any cost, several people die as a result. Huh. Well, what can I look at our abundances somewhere? Resources, right?
Yeah, there's 3 abundances at the moment.
Oh, that's a lot. Weaponry and caution. Okay, that's cool. So I think the natural disaster that strikes, we had these meteor strikes, right? So I think we have another meteor thing strike the camp and there is an earthquake and something breaks inside the mountain and we have some more flooding because of these earthquakes, but that at least that gets that yellow, that reddish stuff out of the water, so that's not too bad. And we focus on getting everybody to safety, but it's kind of dangerous and we really have to risk everything. So I think we just we remove our abundance of caution because, well, we don't have that anymore. And also organizing the big hunt, that will fail because nobody has a big hunt on their mind right now because they have just to get everyone to safety and the whole earthquakes, that there are a lot of aftershocks and we're in the mountains, so there stones are coming down and there are some big stones and they will draw some big stones into this place. Only they won't be red.
Or rather, can you X out those sunglasses to
I cannot. Can you just do that because I'm still fighting
Okay, yeah.
roll 20 to get some line that's not red.
That makes sense. In the meantime, the Orchiborg project completes.
So what started to be a medicinal project?
No, actually, Ludo,
You take over. Okay.
Ludo, it said the card that I take over the project now.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay. So what happens here? I'm sorry, you had something prepared and I had to. Okay, so now what happens here is okay, so I think when people wake up, there's these new flowers and they're starting to grow around the edge of the river near where the TVs. But these are strange flowers, and what they also notice is that I think beforehand, Benjamin has been wandering around that place, kind of like dropping spores of something. But now on the edge of this river are now these flowers. But they're kind of weird flowers. They're made of metal and circuitry, and when they bloom, they have like light bulbs and cathode ray tubes, and it's a creepy sight because at night they just light up. And so we've got the edge of the river just lighting up with these robotic orchids. And I think what the research has shown is that it's a synthesis. Like what turns out when they were fighting each other, now they're now the orchids and the TV, they found communion with each other. And that's kind of symbolized in Benjamin, who's kind of, he's still very flowery, but some of those flowers now are, metallic or glass, and you can see his veins. They're kind of like these wiring now, and maybe, nah, yeah. I think his eyes are now like these TV screens, as in the eyeballs are screens now. And he says he's fine. He says he's fine. So there you go. So I'm just gonna draw some more flowers. Sorry, I had to jump in and say the card says I took. I'm sorry about that. Still Sabine's turn. Yes.
I've been trying to draw stones and they come out as these weird circles. Well, never mind. We will start a new project because these stupid droids are still flying around and haphazardly shooting at anything that has a screen, maybe at Benjamin, at the big screen, at those new flowers. So we really gonna have to do something about them. And I think we will have a project that is called Exterminate the Droids. And that will take 3 weeks until we have hunted down the last of these droids. The metal guys can help us with that. So it's a communal or an organized effort against these stupid droids. That's the project.
I'm hearing exterminate in a Dalek voice right now because I'm in that mood.
Exterminate! Exterminate!
Exterminate!
And honestly, I thought this thing here was a Dalek. Like, there in the corner. Okay, draw the Jack of Autumn. A project finishes early. Which one? Why? There's one project, and sorry, I'm sorry, I keep taking over projects, but that's how the project goes. And now what happens is the metal men, they get some help from their new friend Saren, and yes, the drones, turns out they are just weak scavengers that are kind of like scouts sent by the robot overlords from way over there. But I think once the metal people get their help from Saren, this may look silly, but I think some of those metal people, their heads have been replaced by TVs. I think there's now an expedition to actually grab the TVs from the pit, and they're affixing it on the robot bodies now. So some people are just walking with TV heads, and they're like, "All right, we have now made this new friendship with Saren. We are now part of this TV cult." And the droids have been exterminated to the nth degree. No more drones. Turns out there we go. That was quick. No projects to go down. I'm going to start a new project. Oh my god. And I think this is going to be another Cordelia project. I think she gathers up a bunch of like people who have now become part of the library. And no, this is going to be something just for herself. This is just going to be for herself. None of this nonsense is going to impede her. She's kind of retreated to the library. And what she wants to do is she's going to write a book. She's going to write a book of her own. She's read all these sci-fi authors, and she kind of feels, there's a lot coming. And she's going to try and write this book, or at least get a first draft done. And she's going to try to do this in a heroic 4 weeks, which if anyone's ever tried writing, they should know no one ever writes a book in 4 weeks unless they're, I don't know, well, a good book in 4 weeks.
Hey!
Okay, sorry. Yeah, exactly. She is not, yeah, we've reached November. She is nano-removing. Wow. Oh, okay, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Even in 4, okay, we're not going to get into this. Yes, she is gonna nano remo the heck out of this. She's gonna write a book, and while all this TV stuff is happening, Cordelia nano remos. Okay, I'm gonna draw these flowers, and Ludo, it's your turn.
So, 9 of Autumn. The community works constantly, and as a result, the project finishes early. Or a group goes out to explore the map more thoroughly and find something they had been previously overlooked. So, Ariel has been kept away from this, building quietly on the distance, and she realized, well, there was not been any orders to do something with the satellite, and well, at least I should bring it to a place safe before winter. And as she leads a new expedition, she finds that asteroids stuck around, and it did not destroy only the grand part of the town. It uncovered why there keeps to be debris around it. There is a lot of space trash in orbit on this site because there is an underground launch silo complex nearby, and it's filled with rockets, some of which might be functional or not. So we knocked down a bit of the NaNoWriMo, and I start a new project. Restart rocket power. And this is gonna be, I'm gonna say, a 6 weeks project. And then I'm gonna start drawing a bunch of rockets.
God, all these things. All right, I'll knock down NaNoWriMo. Yeah, Sabine, your turn.
And I'm going to start winter now. Or you have to put some winter stuff up here because autumn's finished. Autumn's over, winter is here. We're going to have a Christmas party. Maybe. Draw.
So the tension is we could draw the king anytime.
Yeah, but I can't get to. Oh my god, this row 20 thing is so slow. And I've got winter. No, and I've not got winter anymore. Ah, come on. Curse you. I've got the 8, so it's not that bad. Not that bad, maybe. Who knows? It's still loading. There it is. Winter is harsh, and desperation gives rise to fear-mongering. Spend the week calming the masses and dispelling their violent sentiments. The week ends immediately. Declare war on someone or something. This counts as starting a project. I think we should declare war on the robot overlords, because we've made peace with the scavengers and with the metal people and with the orchid bears. So we have to start war with the with the robotic overlords. They're over the mountain where the metal people come from. But that doesn't matter. As soon as we have rocket power, we will surely overcome them. Yeah. I'll try to draw a robot now. Maybe. And the other projects go ahead.
Yeah, I've knocked them down.
And I think we should have a discussion on how to best proceed against the robotic overlords, because we want to make war on them to unite our people. But how do we do? What's the best way of doing that?
Good start. The robotic overlords, they are a project as well. How many weeks is that?
I think it's 4 weeks.
Ambitious. Okay, let me look at our NPCs. Oh my god. I did not realize we were all weirdly united now. How did that happen?
Wow. It's the Orchiborg thing, I guess.
The Orchiborg, yes. I think one of the metal people, let's speak up. They don't have a TV on their head yet, but they're clearly still on for it. I think their name is Reunion, and
nice.
And they say that when we came here, we had nothing. All we had were the people on our backs and the weapons we could scavenge. What we did not expect was to find a melting pot of many different peoples who have all come united. And I do believe we are on track to defeat the overlords that have beaten us down our backs. And I think with a great show of unity, with every people working together, the orchids, the TV evangelists, our our people, and we can fight this robot our overlords. But to do that, we must all be united. We also need the hunters with us. So we have to get them into our fold before we can truly strike.
So we see Masala coming, and she brings the shelling of a murder bot. These are not the drones that we fought before. The drones you're looking for are like this. Each of them has a kill capacity of 6,000 before they shut down. You cannot fight them.
I think that's I get to have a point of discussion, right? Because okay. So I think this is the point where, yeah, I guess he's my favorite. Saren steps forward and says, well, yeah, that's true. We need the forest guys, because those murder bots, they might be dangerous, but they have electronics, and what we need now is spores, because spores can clock electronics. Vines can grow into murder bots. We can reprogram them to our thinking. We are stronger than the robot overlords, because we are not just robots. We are both the robots and the forest united. And yeah, I guess that was our discussion.
God, Cyber Force. Oh my God. All right. Let's draw this. Okay, we're still in it. The 7 of Winter. Oh, this is nice. What is winter like in this area? How do community members react to the weather? Who? Yeah, what does winter look like? We've established this as a foresty mountain Alps area, so of course there's snow. I think slowly, yeah, we probably should notice, yeah. Time. Look at people watching. Look at the chat. Oh my god. I think it is very much it's a picture perfect winter wonderland of snow. It's very much the kind of snow. Yeah, you're gonna bundle up. You're gonna cuddle with each other in the long freezing nights. But it looks nice. It's something you can send a postcard to other people for, or whatever a postcard is in this world. How do community members react? I think they have reached a point where they could deal with winter, especially now that we are all not all, but like quite a number of them are orchid cyborgs. I think the orchid bears actually, they'll probably take it a bit harder. The actual orchid bears to start this, because I don't know how flowers do in winter. Ooh, it's probably a bit tricky. But I think it's much a case of keep calm and carry on for the people in the community. It's just gonna wear scarves just a bit more, but they're gonna go about it. We're gonna keep doing. We're gonna keep jumping. Ooh, that's an idea for a project. Thanks, Sabine. And yeah, I think it's very much a case of we're gonna keep going. We now know how to deal with winter. It's fine. We're fine. We're gonna be fine. touch wood. Let's reduce these clocks. Cordelia has reached the stage. She's gotten over the hump. She's gotten over the NaNoWriMo hump, and she's past the point of like, oh, where is this plot even going? And and yeah, one more week for that. Rocket power is 4 weeks. Fight the robot overlords down to 3. Okay, so yes, I will take your suggestion, Sabine, of bears hibernating. I think what happens is the orchid people are fine. We've now established there are some orchid people or orchid TV people. But the orchid bears themselves, they do more than hibernate. I think flower is the first to do this because flower is the oldest. But they kind of lie here in front of the trees in the grove and they just root themselves to the ground. I think the whole herd. Well, actually, what's the name for a group of bears? Is it a herd or a pack or a den? I think it's a den. Den sounds right. Oh, whatever. Well, whatever. We're not gonna spend time looking this up. But yeah, den sounds right. Yeah. And I think yeah, all of them starts rooting a sloth or a sleuth. Actually, no. Yeah, it's I think it's called a sleuth. I think this came up in a different Quiet Year game I was playing. It was a city full of animal people, so we had to figure out the name for our bear mafia. And I think it was called the Sleuth or the Sloth. Yeah, that all sounds very familiar. But anyway, they all kind of start rooting. I think this isn't a project. This discovers something new. And soon as the snow piles up, this becomes less of the bear and more of a flower grove. So there's now a massive clearing of flowers over here. So it's just an explosion of color. Bears might emerge from that someday, maybe, but we'll have to wait for spring to see any of that happen. So that's my turn done.
So, 5 of winter. Winter elements destroy a food source. If this was your only food source at the scarcity, winter elements leave everyone cold, tired, and miserable. Project dice are not reduced this week. So, as the orchid bears go through their transformation, all that they leave behind is flowers, but sudden hail destroys all the sensible flower beds, leaving only snow and ice and mud on top of it. Nobody knows if the bears underneath are safe or they can recover and regrow on spring. The problem is nobody can use the orchid bears for food anymore. Thankfully, the hunters have been working hard and they are able to provide food. So projects advance and the NaNoWriMo is over.
Okay. Cordelia's story is sadly it's a first draft. So it could be better. But she's happy that she's done it. The story's called This World of Ours. And it is a tale of a robot and the last human on Earth going on a road trip to find what happened to the rest of humanity. And it's a labor of love. It's written on all these loose paper and it's all collected together. She's happy she's done it. It's like it's another legacy she can leave behind along with baby Yorick. But it's done for now. She might work on it in the spring if there's a spring for her. But yeah, it's good to finish a creative project, and it's good that there's nothing bad happened to her. Say touch wood, something might happen. But yes, she finished her novel. She's very happy about it.
we'll probably not finish any project. I'm gonna say installing that as a side project some of Ariel's apprentices, they start using the solar panels to create a heating system for the houses during the winter. And because they are pretty much only mounting things, that's going to be a small 2 steps project. In 2 weeks, they should have heating for most homes.
Cool. So let's see what winter brings. Uh-oh, this doesn't look good. Oh, it's a queen. You see a good omen. What is it? Cool, a good omen. I think what we see, it's winter and it's snowing and well, the TVs light up one night, all of them together, even those on the cyborgs or on the orchiborgs or on Benjamin, everywhere. And we see some lights in the sky, like fireworks, actually. And that means, well, somebody, one of the older ones, Claudius, he says he remembers the ceremony where 1 year was ended and a new year was born, and they would celebrate it with fireworks. So that's just a good omen, I think, that a new year is starting and there are fireworks all around the camp. And otherwise it's quiet and nice and the snow is white. And it's cold, but not bitterly so. Yeah, that was the good omen. Projects, rocket power is plodding along. The plan to fight the robot overlords is also coming along, and heating for the homes is also working quite well. Hey, they will all be finished after next turn. Wow. Okay, so I think let's start another project that won't ever be finished because Saren has taken an idea from the Orky Bears, because hibernation might be something that will actually let the community survive better. So he wants to do some experiments with Benjamin, of course, to get him to hibernate and getting hibernation powers. That's pretty important. So let's say that takes 3 weeks. 3 weeks.
Poor Benjamin. Okay.
But he's going to hibernate. It's great.
Yeah, true. For winter, all the animals and young children are crying and won't stop. Jesus, I wonder why. Hold a discussion about this in addition to your regular action for this week, or a great atrocity is revealed. What is it? Who uncovers it? I think we're just gonna hold a discussion. I like the serenity of we're going at the moment. Don't know if I wanna ruin that with a great atrocity, whatever that means. So we are gonna hold a discussion later on. All the animals and young children are crying and won't stop. Jesus Christ, these young folk. And, so we're gonna do that later. I'm just gonna knock down all these project project clocks. Sorry, and so robotic overlords and the fighting thereof of them. How does that even? What does it even look? All right, Sabine, tell us how does that look?
Well, that looks like they have made a plan and it's a pretty good plan. The plan is finished and it will be deployed. They have gathered up spores and dust and all kinds of fine particles. And now they have loaded it into every kind of trajectorial weapon they can get and wait for the high winds to blow in the right direction. And they will just blow off this enormous dust storm up to the robotic overlords. Well, that's what the plan is. The enormous dust storm. It's some dust that's wafting around the forests. Who knows what will come of it? There is no reaction, so it could be a win, I guess. It's probably nothing more than a lot of dust somewhere in the forest, but there is some kind of elation felt because they have struck a blow against the robotic overlords, and when no retaliation comes, they will declare this a win and have a party.
All right. It's probably a win. Who knows? These spores, they can do a lot of damage. So the heating for homes. How's that go?
Yeah, that's working quite well. In fact, even if it's winter, we seem to be high above most of the clouds. So on our installation, so we actually get a lot of sun even now, and a lot of both the cultists of the forest and the followers of the great orchid machine symbiosis have started to use some of the heat to make small herb beds and improvised greenhouses, so that they preserve some of the unique bounty of the forest or the orchid bears on their homes. So it allows them to preserve their identity over the winter.
Yeah, everyone's just so nice. The warm, cozy feeling. 'Tis the season. There we go. I love that the drawing of Benjamin even looks like a Christmas tree. Christ. Okay. I need to do an action. God. Oh wait, no. Hold the discussion. Despite all this holly jolly feeling, why are the animals and young children crying?
So one of the builders, a young boy named Clavius, he comes to the gathering interregional council of the community, and he informs that while working on the rocket silo, they intercepted a signal. It's very low that most people should not notice, but children and animals seem to be more sensible to it. And he presents the hypothesis that the robot overlords, they are trying to strike back at people by bombarding it with psychic emitters that emit a stress-inducing signal. And if they can somehow boost the signal, they can turn it into a weapon against us.
Well, that is troubling. I think everybody is in agreement that that is troubling. I think, yeah, well, I think that Sky, the orchid bear person, will say that maybe we could create some kind of music for ourselves, so we can overload maybe these frequencies, or maybe even create some sort of mirror. And there are lots of ideas, nothing too concrete, but we have to create a louder and more higher, even more penetrating sound. That sounds quite convincing somehow.
Let's see. I think it's yeah, I think it's Cordelia. I think she just kind of sighs at all this and says people can't seem to look at anything without having to contrive some grand reason for anything happening here. What if the young children are crying because we've been busy trying to fight war or launch grand expeditions over things when we really should have just been taking care of each other? We should have just paid attention to ourselves instead of fighting other people's wars for them and just getting entangled in so much. It's so much has happened here, and maybe people are crying because it's tiring. Maybe people are just tired. And she goes back to the library. Yeah, quiet here. Yeah. I think that's the only action I'll take. I think we'll move on to the next turn. And also right now, if the king doesn't show up in this turn, I think we'll let two more turns go, and then I will just say I drew the king, unless you draw the king.
2 of winter.
Okay, we did.
A headstrong community member takes charge of the community work efforts. A project fails and then a different project finish early. Or a headstrong community member tries to take control of the community again. How are they prevented from doing this? Due to the conflict, project dice are not reduced this week. I'm gonna say that the rocket power project fails and Benjamin hibernating process succeeds. So go ahead and say how this goes.
No, the way the cards works is you get control of the why one fails and another one completes.
And then you narrate the outcome, right?
Yeah, no, you get to narrate the outcome now.
Of the project.
Yes.
Okay. So the rocket power, they managed to restore pretty much everything for the launch. The problem is the facility takes enormous amounts of power. The thing is, there are orchids sympathizers among the builders, and they realized that because this was both a military facility and also an experimental space facility, they have a lot of experimental cryo chambers. So one of the days they smuggled Benjamin there and they divert all the power to the cryo chambers and they try it there. The result of doing this just blows every single fuse on the facility. completely resetting the launch advances to 0, but it was a success because it proved exactly how can you get hybrids to hibernate.
Do an action.
Okay, so I'm gonna do an action. As an action, I'm gonna discuss what do we do to punish these orchid cultists.
So I'll start up the discussion. And I think, well, the first one to take the stage is, of course, Sky, who was the orchid cultist who orchestrated the whole thing. And she says, well, that was the only valid idea because having rockets doesn't serve us in winter. We can't fly away from here. This is our home now. And knowing how to get people to hibernate, that is a last straw, sure, but it will ensure our survival. So I don't think I should be punished. I should be rewarded. Get a medal or something.
I think Sky says, well, why settle for a medal? Why, if you sympathize with the orchids so much, then give them
I
to
think
us.
that was Sky who was
Oh, was that
the
Sky?
orchid,
Okay.
the orchid bear handler, orchid sympathizer person.
Okay. Then,
I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, no worries. All right. Search around. I think okay. I think what it says here is Ariel, who says, then how come if you sympathize with the orchid so much, what this is a very playground taunt. If you sympathize with the orchid so much, why haven't you become one yet? And you brought these orchid bears to our community. You've let them take root with the televisions. You let poor Benjamin become what it is. Why don't you? Why don't you just? Why are you? Why have you not taken that step yet? If you sympathize with the orchids so much.
So Shanna is quite amused at the chance to stab at a rival when it presents itself. I will say that doing things to poor Benjamin is one thing, but, well, it works on hybrids, but we don't know if it works on mere sympathizers. So I would say it's only a fair punishment that we also put you on the cryo chamber.
This is the discussion ends there. Whether he gets put in the versus Sky, whether they get put in the cryo chamber or not, we'll see in the next turn.
Yeah. Okay. Got a 6, so it's not a king. It's loading. The time has come to consolidate your efforts and your borders. Project located outside the settlement fail, and all remaining projects are reduced by 2 this week. Or someone finds a curious opportunity on the edge of the map. Start a project related to this discovery. Oh, cool. So we have no projects that can fail or be reduced. So I think we should find a curious opportunity on the edge of the map, right? Yeah. So what do we have here on our edges? There is this curious blob. I think we should find maybe opportunity. Yeah, I think this has to do with the animal spirit, forest spirit in the hunter's lodge. And well, there's this whole hibernation project. Sky has been put into the cryo chamber. That didn't work so well because Sky is part orchid, and orchids, they don't hibernate, actually. Bears hibernate. And that is revealed in one of those fungus-induced visions at the hunting lodge to Shoshana, and she will propose that everybody, well, the cryochambers doesn't work for orchids, or probably not for robot men, but that everybody should come and meditate, I guess, on taking on the animal spirit and the forest spirit, because they're asleep under the snow. The whole forest is asleep under the snow. And if they can, those who are part orchid yet, those people might be able to connect to the forest and go hibernate properly. So that's a project that will take 2 weeks and lots of fungi.
And that project immediately goes down at the week, because that's the next turn. That's the next part of that turn. And action.
Right, okay. Action. I think what will be discovered is on the eastern, is that east? It's east. On the eastern sky, strange lights have started to appear. Maybe they're just polar lights, but they're strangely persistent. They're from where the robot overlords are. So who knows what that is about?
Okay, so funny thing. I mentioned that this card, whatever it's gonna be, it's gonna end. It's gonna be King of Winter. Guess what card I drew? So, the King of Winter. The Frost Shepherds arrive, and the game is over. So, I guess I'll detail what the Frost Shepherds are. There's and this just comes out of nowhere. There's a hideous groaning coming out of the cave, and the river, which has been, it's been fairly weirdly solid, not solidish, but it's still kind of slushy. It's not. I didn't freeze over, just freezes immediately as this howling, hideous wind starts blowing out of the cave, and in this wind, this snowy, horrible wind. It's a kind of wind that kind of turns your skin into not literal metal, but feels like that sort of corrosive sort of ice where you're just being burnt. You know, it's that sort of frostbitey wind just belches out of the cave. Maybe in that wind you can see like these strange kind of human shaped figures as they dance and whirl and kind of scythe and reap their way out of the cave. But yeah, I think all these grandiose plans, all these ideas fighting, I think, yeah, they have to stop for now because the Frost Shepherds have arrived. Let's all I think each of us, we're gonna get an epilogue scene. If you want one last scene with a character, before we finally wrap up, think it over. I think mine is just gonna be very simple. It's again, it's the character I've been kind of making sure is not unaffected by all this bullshit. It's of course Cordelia with her baby and her library attendants, all holed up nice and trying to be warm and toasty in this library as this horrible wind rattles the walls around them. And she's trying to keep calm. She's trying by telling her baby a story. And it's a different story to the one she wrote. It's actually a story that she culled from these records that an old man had kept for quite some time. It's a story of this community and how it started. And yeah, I think that's the story she tells to this crowd. Anyone else have a scene they want to end on?
I do actually. I think what we see is it's this rocket launch facility, and we see Saren stumbling in, and he's falling quite literally apart because the metal parts he has implanted, they are freezing his body, and the plant material in his hair is falling out. And he's going up to one of those cryopods, and the cryopod is still active and it's beeping, and he drops before it and puts his hand on the metal or on the cover. He looks up and says, "You will survive." And then he collapses, and inside the pod you can see Benjamin, or what used to be Benjamin, and you can see on his screen kind of the screen just a slight flicker, just a white noise, but there's something active there.
We get to another place, another time, and we see the scavengers, and we see a figure about them, Delilah, telling the threat of the Frost Shepherd, the war against the Robot Overlord, and all the threats that all the people of the world face, and how much people can accomplish in just 1 year if they all work together.
That's a fab way to end all that. I think I'm gonna end the broadcast here. But for those watching, I'll say thanks to Ludo and Sabine for this incredibly madcap journey. That was, air quotes, the quiet year. Oh my god, that was fab. But yeah, we'll talk about a bit more off broadcast. But yeah, thanks so much. I'm gonna stop the broadcast here.